sir.
Howard Stern show, huh? I'm here, can you hear me? Still waiting on Maggot though, huh? Right. Ah. Right. That's funny. Well, are we ready? You get your mic turned down or something?
Hello.
Hey, well, you know, maybe he gets paid a little something extra, and all he does is crunch numbers all day long, so he's got no life. That's amusing. Well, Doofus doesn't have the, that computer doesn't have a mic on it. Don't know exactly why he's got two there. A Maggot should be around. Hello. What's going on? Kind of on the air. That's interesting. Welcome to American Freeman, ladies and gentlemen. I am Don. Your responsible party is with us as always today, Estratios. Well, that's good. I'm not the responsible party, you're the responsible party. It's all your fault. Oh, sure. Now throw that back in my face. Appreciate it. Way to use my own agenda against me. Well, if they're going to wipe my bottom and make sure I take my daily nap, I'm going to still have to say no. I do have some exciting news for you, though. Your little converter adapter thing finally showed up. So now I can get my Mac platform up and operating properly. So I'm very, very pleased about that. Right. Sure. Right. Well, we'll just have to figure it out. I can't believe how far away they had to send this thing from, though.
Oh, my little USB downloads came from Hong Kong finally.
Yeah.
Ever. But they're cool.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
That's where it came from, was Hong Kong. Mm-hmm. Came by G Express. Z-H-Y, I guess. G Express, Gangsta Express. That's bizarre. You got Maggot on the other line? Are we having Skype problems today? Isn't that fun? Maybe you should leave your house and do it remotely. It did tend to work. I was pretty impressed. Well, I'm excited to get Maggotaur on, because apparently you've got a list of things you...
Hello.
Hello. Maggot, good to hear your voice.
Are we on live now?
I
Okay.
have no idea.
Well, yeah.
Estradios is coming across real quiet to me. Is he coming across quiet to you, Maggot?
Hello.
Yeah.
Okay. Weird. Sorry.
Yeah.
Might
I
help.
don't know why I was all hyped that I was going to talk today, and then...
Yeah, that's better. Don't worry, we'll get your energy factor up for you here. We'll sing a rousing chorus of American Freeman Forever. See, there you go. There you go. Probably one of my favorite of all time filmmakers. Well, that's pretty fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, a first. Not only does Estratios do the show from his bed, but you get to hear him waking up.
I'm not in bed right
No? Well, you probably had to get out of it for some reason. Like walking.
Toilet.
Well, no. We'll know when that happens because Phil Spector will call him.
now. So I get all these questions like,
yeah.
why are you so animated later on in the show? And the answer is because I'm really tired. And like later, and then more away.
Well, maybe.
Burned out, so I have to lay down.
Yeah. Works out. Happens out.
Well, apparently, you've got a list of things that you want to cover today. I don't have that much to bring to the table. I spent my morning watching Jason Berman's latest film, Invisible Empire.
Now, for all the stuff that I haven't asked to say about Jason
Yeah,
Berman,
I was actually impressed with it. I was.
something you can show people. It's not bad at all. Although I guess they all live in the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, since you're not kidding anything, you show them the tape you've seen, and then you want to watch it work around it. At one point, several years ago, I got 244 stations in West Texas.
Wow.
For a guy that this doesn't exist and he never talked about it, 244 times while president is a lot.
It's a couple.
Probably means he can't remember ever talking about it.
Yeah, right. That's it.
It's the mind erasing equipment. Yeah.
This guy could wedge it into any talk, too.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, but it's all plausible deniability stuff. It's like W making a statement that, well, I don't know if the Skull and Bones even still exists. Does it exist? I don't know. Yeah. They're all a bunch of mobsters anyway.
They wouldn't let him in last time, that's what it was.
That's it.
They're a fool when they say, get out, old man.
That would,
Under 25 orgy.
that would be. Show up to your annual Bilderberg meeting, and you get there, and the guy at the door says, "Hey, we're at full capacity. Sorry, Mr. Bush, you're going to have to go home."
That's not Bush. There's some controversy. That's not Bush.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
They want it back.
Of course they do. Yep. And they should get it back. The Apache deserve to have it back.
I'm currently wearing it. I'm currently wearing it. I used it to replace my own one, which got damaged.
Maggot's not
But I actually just get a polish. Polish and scrub.
They do have a type of vodka that's available on the market now that comes in a glass skull.
What is it?
It's some type of vodka, but it's an actual like skull. It's a crystal glass skull that the vodka.
So it's like a skull that contains a litre of vodka or something.
Yeah, exactly. No.
There's actually a version of this 7 weeks and you can check out the girl.
Oh no. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, of course. Well, it's like the two-tone hairstyle that's out there right now, in which girls have the dark underneath. Yeah, that's hideous. I think that's the most disgusting, vile thing I've ever seen in my life. Every time I see that, all I want to do is just take a big vat of hair dye and just pour it over the top of it. Now we're getting into...
Oh, is that when you get hair extensions at the wrong colour? Or different colours to the actual natural hair?
Well, no, frosting, I think, and listen to all of us sitting around talking about the hairstyles. And this is a great show. Frosting is when you just get little bits of color put into the hair. Now, this is two-tone stuff where, like, all the hair underneath is dark, and then the top layer of hair is usually, like, blonde.
Yeah. Like they use an iron, heating iron, you know, with an ironing board, just like iron some of their hair.
Right, and just made it and bleached it out and made it blonde.
Yeah.
It's awful. Because they realize how bad it is. I bet if you went onto Facebook, you could probably find people who have it plastered all over their personal photo walls, though. Of course, then you'd have to actually friend, quote unquote, those people, and that might be scary all by itself. I tried to start limiting how much I use Facebook at all anymore. Just frightening information gathering. Of course, since they can tap into all of our phone calls and keep all of that safe somewhere, and they can get to all of our computers now that we're all hooked up to the internet, I guess it doesn't really matter. They're going to find out whatever information they want about me anyway, right? Your favorite Irishman.
He's another Maggot.
Oh, very cool.
He converted his feeling. But what I thought was really strange is he and a friend of mine, they worked it out with each other. I didn't really know. I thought this was really cool.
Well, it's like the guy in, Barbados that we're supposed to talk to later this week, too, who never had anything. I'm excited. Good. When are we having him?
He's got a show on, I thought it was the guy from South Carolina. It's called For All of Us, the website. I don't know who's all of it.
Huh.
I was listening to this guy from South Carolina, and I thought this was cool. But this guy's from Barbados. He's never can't find any other show.
That website you said was For All of Us? I'll have to
The guy
check.
from South Carolina can find his show.
I'll have to listen to that. Are they?
I mean, it's not hard. It's
Right, well, you know, that is the grand trick to radio. You have to be able to pull off a ventriloquist act.
all they do all the whole show is interfere with the
Eh.
Get rid of them. Or, like, I've got a lot of the early shows when there was nobody there. He's fantastic.
Well, maybe you should send them to me so I can start studying his older tapes.
You can.
Well, I would like to believe that our rapport is moving more to a point where we're starting to do that. I mean, we already did talk about the hairstyles. You know, just... Well, we're no Howard Stern. How about that? Do you want to be Howard Stern? Sure. Just making noise. Well, you see, that's what we need. We need little clips. We need a little bit of noise. It's a little weirder, especially for us, because it's not like I'm sitting with the headphones on, listening to our show being broadcast and hearing all the little things that you play in the background. And I'll be honest with you, I generally don't go back and listen to our shows after we've done them.
I have.
Well, that's good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
I
yeah. No, it wasn't that bad. Even the very first one. Yeah.
Well, that's good. That's a step up. Even if it was a train wreck, you could probably get enough people that would pay attention. You know, it's like driving past a...
Oh no, not him again. No, his show's just disastrous recently. I just didn't bother listening to any of them. Yeah. Have it all filmed and then put it on the end of the documentary.
Was he really that betrayed? I mean, I...
That horrible girlfriend who got nothing but uglier. She
oh, yeah.
Courtney
Cox. Courtney Love. That was it. Courtney Love.
No. This is that Miranda.
Not familiar with it. Oh. Wow.
Yep.
Kurt Cobain's first girlfriend. It's got to be pictures, right? Huh. What, Seattle? Cool. Well, and I lived in Portland, Oregon for quite some time, and I actually worked right downtown Portland, and I wrote... No. I was not conversant with a lot of things. I spent most of my time trying to earn a living. Well, Portland's weird. The whole West Coast is weird in the first place because, it rains all winter long. It starts raining in, September, and it rains part of every single day, and the temperature drops down to below freezing at about 5 o'clock in the morning, every morning. So just as I was getting home from doing my newspaper delivery stuff, I would wind up hitting patches of ice that weren't there when I started at 2:30, so that was weird. But it's got just such a huge amount of homeless. It's well, to the point that they actually even established a village for... Did you? Yeah, exactly. But it was just constant.
Did you find any links about Miranda Kurt Cobain?
I can't find any. I can't find any pictures.
I got a photo of him walking past William S. Burroughs, just sort of like, "Get up my wheel, man," sort of style.
Really interesting.
Well, I posted a link to it on the chat room.
All right. Well, I'm saving it all. I'll pick it up.
Just in case you don't get who the old man is.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But well, Portland But I rode the train into work every single day, and after I got home from doing my newspapers, I went and worked at a couple of restaurants in downtown Portland. And I'd ride the electric rail all the way into downtown, and you'd get off.
Oh, that's how to spend it.
You'd get off the transit at the downtown stops, and it was just nothing but people standing underneath bridges looking for their next fix. I mean, heroin was huge because, well, first of all, it was easy to come by, and it was just really easy to transfer around. Not to mention, it was being brought in by the CIA. Because heroin's the new cash crop. People have kind of fallen off coke, and so they had to be supplanted with something new. So that's the picture of his first girlfriend, huh?
She looked okay in that picture, but then you should see her in this interview. It's creepy.
I'm thinking she really doesn't look too bad there. Ah, gotcha. It looks like a black and white photo.
I started looking, and I had this bloody advert pop-up thing, and it was like music, and it was talkie talks as well. And I pressed and pause on it, and it wouldn't stop. It was a nightmare, so I had to close it. It was awful. It was like washing up liquid advert. Yeah, I haven't bothered using it yet. I haven't really needed it yet.
Oh, it's one of the most helpful tools I think is on my computer right now. The wife did not like Firefox to begin with, but then when she started playing around with Pardon? Well, when you're raised on Internet Explorer. I know, well...
Isn't that Courtney Love in that photo?
Right. Well, but why should they have to?
No, you got the wrong picture. You got Courtney Love. I got Tracy Miranda, and she's so hot. Really, sort of like deadly rock chick thing. Just sort of like holding back the vomit even on the night. You got it. It is amazing. It is amazingly vile. That BMP file 6ENNJ949.BMP. That's the that's Miranda, whatever her name is, Tracy Miranda.
So tiny.
What, the picture? It's huge. No, that's huge.
Well, it opened real tiny on my computer here, ladies and gentlemen, so I hope it works out for you guys. It's really, really fun. I did want to kind of get back to Kurt Cobain being betrayed. I mean...
Yeah, now, she's aged well.
Yeah, see how just creepy she looks?
Yeah, that's what I mean. That was like 2 days later, after the photo I showed you.
Oh, it's nothing Jenny Craig couldn't fix. But she looks better than Courtney Love ever has. I'm just saying, she at least looks human.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, Courtney Love just kind of looks like she crawled out from the bottom pits of the local trash dump and grabbed clothes from the same place on the way. But I guess I haven't really spent that much time looking into the Kurt Cobain suicide, pushed to the edge, whatever. I mean, is there a conspiracy element that surrounds any of that, or?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, there's the thing about Courtney Love holding all the rights to the unreleased Nirvana tapes or something.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm quite a few years back. Yeah. Tuning up, that's not some sort of like drugs reference, is it? Okay. Okay. That's not like where you're pumping out the vein or whatever. Yeah, I know, tuning the guitar or whatever. In the bar. Yeah. Well, yeah, even if you're tuning it down or detuning it down to D or whatever.
Sure. Yep. All of us on the show who are professional musicians know all about that. So, what big, huge, gigantic secrets did you want to get into today?
You are cut. Thanks.
Well, I'm. That's fantastic, and we're very excited. That's fine. So, well, go ahead. What do you want to talk about?
The John Lennon of my generation is John Lennon. I mean, I saw that stupid the moment they announced it, Kurt Loder and some sitting there announcing it. They're dressing extra. No, John Lennon is John Lennon.
Sure.
Yeah, well, John Lennon and Yoko Ono, though, they're just like chameleons as well, with their like fashion sense, you can call it that. It's... Oh no, okay, oh.
She doesn't sing though.
Yeah.
She was at the top of the art world though.
Yeah.
All by
But like,
herself.
boring art.
No, it's pretty good. It's not that bad. It's actually really pretty good for the time. Whatever, I mean, compared to everything else.
I can't actually remember any of it.
By herself. And then, she's a financial wizard. She comes from this family that they have a regional stock in Bank of America.
Yeah.
But then they kind of disowned her because she went into a Western place, and she's a financial wizard by herself. Owns multiple. It's Linda that broke up the Beatles. Everything you think about Yoko is actually about her.
Ah.
It was Linda's father and brother that Paul McCartney kept wanting to divorce on the band as the manager to replace Brian Epstein who died.
Yeah.
And they blew all the deals, including blowing the rights. They thought they
Yeah.
would get a better deal. They wouldn't even do it.
And she kept trying to make them vegetarian spaghetti bolognese and stuff like that, you know. And ruining every song by playing the tambourine. Oh yeah, but she ended up just playing tambourine live all the time. She was there like, me playing tambourine, look me, like bloody marzipan in Homestar Runner series.
Well, and that's never how it's portrayed out there. It's not. I mean, you do a quick Google search for Yoko Ono, and the first thing that they're going to pop up is Yoko Ono broke up the Beatles.
Oh no, it's Yoko.
Paul McCartney bombed 3 times in a row. They got rid of him and stayed together for the till 75. The 3 of them.
Well, I suppose John Lennon's solo stuff is more interesting than Wings, anyway.
I mean, Crippled Inside, great Harrison guitar solo.
Yeah. How many people know any songs from Wings? You know, Paul McCartney's supposedly solo project. He always has like.
Man on the Run. Man on the Run's the only one that I can think of.
Band on the Run, isn't it? The frog song. Do.
Oh.
Tug of War.
Although I hate Ringo more.
Well, yeah. And when we
Gotta
come,
hate Ringo more.
How? Right, because don't send me any more stuff. I'm not going to sign it, so just stop. A peace of love, everybody.
It's Rat Sognir backwards. He did
right.
He did Tom's Tank Engine as well. The voiceover for Tom. Yeah, that was totally memorable. Tom's Tank Engine. I can't even do his voice, but it's just like, got some guy from the. Well, he was okay in acting Magical Mystery Tour, but then he wasn't really acting. That was basically his life, like going on tour with his mum. Yeah.
All their money away. They worked for this money. The English government used to collect money in taxes, so he spent every last penny they had on his Apple records where he worked on things. It was the big money. He did. And then they made Magical Mystery Tour shown on Boxer Day in black and white. And
Yeah.
It's such a color.
Yeah. Yeah, of course I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen the colour version.
Black and white. And okay, then Let It Be, which the high point of Let It Be is here, George Harrison saying, I'll play it any way you want me to. Whatever you say, I'll just play it that way.
Yeah.
I'll do it.
And he did a really bad version of Blue Jay Way or something, where he sat on the keyboards of. Yeah, it was really sort of like tired out version of it. Really like. It was really bad. It was really sort of zomboed.
There's a lot of good bootlegs of George Harrison because they never released any of his good stuff. And then he wrote all the songs for the Beatles and recorded them all. And then like they didn't. He milked his Beatle outtakes for the rest of his career somehow.
I got you. Yeah.
You
So
know,
he
like
did a
you
whole
can find
batch.
all the hits as Beatles bootlegs. And then there's an album around it.
Yeah, a lot of guitarists to do that. They'll just like hack away for a couple of years, whatever, putting out loads and loads of stuff, not releasing it, and then they'll just like go on eight track or whatever you call it, and then they'll insert it, and they'll just like they got like 20 hours of material and stuff, and it's like Shut Up and Play Your Guitar by Frank Zappa, the double album. That was all sort of like guitar solos and riffs and stuff that didn't fit with any of his albums, just left over.
I thought those were all live. They cut them out of live recordings.
Yeah, they were taking out of live recordings. A lot of them were like solos and like improvs and stuff. But they were originally going to be, used in albums, but none of them really fitted because they didn't fit the style of the music or the they were too long. Because he basically is a pop musician, like Frank Zappa. He writes pop length songs on average, like 3 to 4 minutes at most. And a lot of the solos ended up going on for longer than that. So yeah.
Oh, there's this Purple album. Have you ever seen Purple Chick, who did all the Beatles bootlegs, right? Yeah, I think it's a guy. I don't know why you call yourself Purple Chick, but anyway, the guy did all the Beatles bootlegs correctly after all these years, and then he put out this album called the Purple Album, which is the Beatles songs better versions of them than were released, and solos. Aggressive solos in the middle of the songs. I mean, they're Harrison solos. And they were all chopped out.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting to hear all the songs better versions and solos. And you're like, oh, wow.
Well, yeah, of course, because like when you play guitar, if you're any good at it, it's all about putting enthusiasm into it, and then you get into the studio, and the guy is like, well, can we have a bit more, less of that, and just do the beginning and ending bit.
Well, they have to reduce everything down to a soundbite of 3.5 some odd minutes, especially at that
That's
time.
it, yeah. And people aren't really prepared to listen to like a minute or so of guitar whittling. I think it's probably about 12 seconds or something you can actually listen to a guitar solo on a. I mean, Jimi Hendrix.
I like it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, but then you're into like heavy rock and stuff like that. I mean, if you're trying to be a pop band and stuff, Jimi Hendrix's songs often just be all just guitar solos and a bit of wailing and stuff. But they always got to like cut it to shreds. The guitar, especially in leads, you got to have like a noticeable sound, like a distinctive sound. and it's a distinctive style, but it's more like you get a preview, especially on the radio.
And Harrison did. He had a unique sound.
Yeah, that was the funny thing. They all happen to have unique sounds, quite unsurprising.
And the only real solo anyone knows from a Beatles album is "While My Guitar Gently Weeps," and that's Clapton.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
How unfair is that?
Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, the title song for that.
Yeah, there's a solo there too.
Yeah, that's probably the most noticeable one off the top of the head, and possibly I don't know. I'm thinking "Let It Be," but I can't remember that song at the moment at all.
Yeah, there's two versions of it. One with a keyboard solo right on top of the place where there is a guitar solo, so you can get it either way, with a guitar solo or a keyboard solo.
Yeah.
And the guitar solo is better. I mean,
Yeah. Well, obviously, I mean, keyboards rarely beat guitars unless they're like really been well engineered.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, anything you can play on guitar, you can play on keyboard. Conversely.
Right.
Just to
with enough skill.
And I've got a project for you then, Stratios.
I love it. It's so difficult to say it. I love it.
You need to go.
If I could rename myself Gobbledygook or something even worse, I mean, just if I could just put random letters in too, you know how to do it.
A couple silent Z's, a few Q F's. Sure, makes sense. Well, you need to go onto Wikipedia and fix their thing, because when they talk about the Beatles breakup on Wikipedia, they list a number of different things. Well, they list a number of things. They mention Brian Epstein's death, George Harrison's emerging as a songwriter, the difficulty in collaboration, the double album.
No, it's all Paul.
And
it's all Paul and Paul.
And then they also, this is what they say about Yoko Ono. Lennon was in a fragile state of mind after returning from the band's sojourn in India in early '68. He was disillusioned and resentful that the Maharishi did not fulfill his expectations, coupled with renewed drug use and deterioration in his marriage and family life, blah, 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 etc., etc. He began to develop a more intense interest in one artist in particular, Yoko Ono.
He comes back from India angry. He gets into heroin with Yoko. And then she has a miscarriage, and they get even heavier into heroin.
But they finish it off saying,
I like that.
From that point on, the two were rarely apart, including when Lennon was working with the rest of the band in the studio. This violated a previous tacit agreement between the members not to
when they went to the bathroom. When he went to the bathroom, Yoko would go with him.
That's odd. However, as Lennon's artistic infatuation with Ono grew, he desired that she would be allotted artistic input into the band's recordings. Frequently, Ono would comment or make suggestions in the recording studio, which only served to increase the discontent between Ono and Lennon's bandmates.
Yeah. She might have followed him to the bathroom because they keep the syringes sometimes.
Fixing,
under the cistern in the toilet or whatever. Yeah, so she might have been checking to see if he was doing stuff not telling her.
Doing it without...
Yeah, not sharing.
Right, exactly. The only thing worse than a druggie is a stingy druggie.
But the thing is, it's like Noam Chomsky, or who's that basketball player that wanted to play baseball? I mean, Noam Chomsky is at the number one top of his field there in English linguistics, and then he wants to be in politics too? I mean, he doesn't know anything about it. He's a real lame, half-assed 9/11 guy. And what you know what I mean? Yoko, she's at the top of the art world. She now wants to sing. I just could never understand that. I mean, you realize that you can't sing. Stand to the side.
Right.
Have a gallery showing. I mean, her stuff was top notch.
Well, but Linda McCartney, if you ever hear her sing,
she was at the top of nothing.
She has absolutely zero talent
of any kind. Do you know why she's known as a photographer? No. She was the girl that the Rolling Stones led onto their little junket boat. They had a Chinese junk that they hired for a press conference. They had all the rock photographers and interviewers and all that came from the magazines, who came on this boat with them, and they let two girls on one of whom had a Brownie camera. It's Linda Epstein there, Linda Eastman. And so she immediately sold to the tabloids her Brownie box camera picture. So she was then known as a photographer somehow.
Sure, yeah.
She had no talent of any kind at all.
That's like saying TMZ is full of hard-headed journalists and doing great work out there.
I think for the next 40 years she tried to bring herself back into the newspapers or whatever, even though she'd never been there. But none of her stuff was actually any good to use, and she was just a permanent embarrassment. And constantly trying to break into the papers, one way or the other. I think in the 80s she ended up bringing out her own range of amazing vegetarian food.
Ugh.
Yeah, right.
You had this
frozen
one.
too, because when you're having vegetarian food, you want it frozen.
Definitely.
And microwave.
Nothing better than frozen vegetables. Nothing better.
Reheated with a microwave oven to take all the nutrition out of it.
Yeah.
So you're basically eating a cardboard box.
There was like a bit of a cover-up about it. Nobody actually investigated the ingredients of these vegetarian spaghetti bolognese and vegetarian meatballs and vegetarian sausages.
You realize
but
anything put through the microwave oven has no nutritional value when it's done?
Pretty much.
They've tested this out, and it although it's interesting and your body processes it, it has no nutritional value at all, and you might as well be eating a tasty cardboard box.
The only thing I put in the microwave is black coffee.
I took it out. I took it out of the kitchen. I have it in the closet, and I'm waiting if I have to take down aircraft. I have one of the last of the before all the low wattage ones came out.
Yeah.
So
you got the tin refact special.
You can take the I love him.
Did I get to the point about Linda McCartney and her vegetarian frozen food? Okay. After 20 years of not doing anything, finally the food health safety standards people, whatever, the food inspectorates, inspected her food and they found it being injected with meat.
Yeah.
Her entire range was injected with meat.
That's awesome.
I know, it's terrible. At least corn is vegetable stuff, even though it tastes like nothing like meat. But yeah, I mean, to try and get away with it for 20 odd years, how many backhanders has she been doing? Who does she know to stop them investigating it?
Well, I'm gonna guess that's the only way that it's sold. It's the only way that people
his money.
Right.
And then
she just managed to outlive it, didn't she? The controversy. I think she's dead now, but
no, she's dead now.
Oh yeah.
She lived. Convenient cancer.
And she was the obsessed pot fiend, and McCartney was not. And he took the rap for her, and he was in prison in Tokyo over this. He took the rap for her.
Yeah.
Put the bitch in prison.
Right there.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. How much money has he been spending then in order to pay off all these investigators and stuff? Because you think a big name like Linda McCartney, especially when your whole branding relies on the fact it's vegetarian food that tastes like meat, you think anybody would investigate it.
And if you think he spent money in the 60s, she spent the rest of his money later. It was Yoko Ono who put him back on the map financially over and over and over again, because she just touches things and they become gold, Oh.
Find my own Yoko Ono.
It's all Yoko. I sing along. He had that really arrogant sing along at the end of Imagine or something. Oh, Yoko, as if other people would be singing along to that. I sing along to that. I like Yoko.
Well, now you have a project to do later today, and that's to update Wikipedia with real information.
Oh yeah, like they're going to let that stand for 5 minutes. I mean, you can go correct it, but they'll fix it. Well, I find that the talk pages are more interesting than the actual pages. Those can be turned into PDFs too. Get the page, the front page, or whatever the issue is. Then get the talk pages and get all the archives. And those can be also turned into PDFs, and they are fascinating. Whenever you look at Wikipedia and it's wrong, or it's clearly not what you're looking for, look at the talk pages that it says discussion or something, and you can see all the people who are correct viciously fighting to have their point made, and then they're all shut down by the Zionists. Right. Because that's who controls it.
Yep, censorship and honest.
Right, they're the censorship people. All in the guise of being free and open.
Right, of course.
But it is fascinating.
To be able to
Linda McCartney.
But only so long as you don't challenge the party line. So I did want to mention one thing to you because it does have to deal with some Freeman issues. Apparently, a motorcyclist was jailed for 26 hours for videotaping a gun-wielding cop. A Maryland State Trooper, Joseph David Guler. They've got a picture of him here, and he's in plain clothes. He's not flashing a badge. He's not any identification of who he is other than the fact that he's got a gun in his hand, and he looks like he's screaming.
It's the only identification you need.
Right, exactly. After spending 26 hours in the Baltimore County Jail, Anthony Graber still doesn't understand what he did wrong. Sure, the 24-year-old man admits to speeding on his motorcycle, but does that merit having a plainclothes cop pull a gun on him? Does that merit 6 state troopers raiding his parents' home and seizing 4 computers at the crack of dawn? Does that merit getting charged with a felony and threatened with 5 years in prison? That's just...
You better say or else, right?
Right?
Do what they tell you or else.
It's always good policy.
You better.
Yeah.
They're gods on this earth, and we're nothing. We're scum. We're lower than dirt.
You better just give me, boy. I eat meat.
Yeah, or they'll lie about you, and they do. Yeah. Well, you know, in issues where Zionists don't have any controversy or don't know anything about it, there's a lot of good information on Wikipedia. I mean, tremendous long amounts of it, all wonderfully sourced, and I mean, especially. I didn't know a lot about this Byzantine thing until I started looking it up, and then I found other sources. My parents had stuff, and my uncle just died, and he had a lot of stuff. But Wikipedia is not in conflict with this. You know,
Really?
learn about the American system
Sure.
and what we're uncovering with World Freeman.
Right. Well, that's good to know. At least they were doing something that they're supposed to, right?
Yeah, I'm sure the minute I talk about it, you know.
Correct.
But yeah, that's why I spoke publicly, ever. I was just collecting, you know?
Right.
I had no interest in talking. I mean, what I was trying to talk about today was fame. I saw this Kurt Cobain thing. But, yeah, well, but that's, you know, a lot of people like Alex Jones want to be famous, want to meet famous people, motive larger than any of this other stuff, or hearing the sound of their own voice or stuff. I was perfectly happy not talking publicly. I mean, I can't tell you how happy I was, and I think, wow, I had never spoken. I could have just stayed like that, but yeah, and but I saw 2 things missing from the Patriot movement that I thought, wow, the propaganda is working because these people want to fight the New World Order, but they're falling victim to the NWO propaganda about history in a lot of ways that...
Right.
Well, I mean, if they fixed it so that you don't know what the sources to things are, so that you can't fix the problem.
Well, it's the same application that's used in just about every remedy treatment from medicine to politics, is that you want to treat just what the problem is right now. You don't actually find out what the root source is and uncover it.
I mean, we had a history in this country of a certain system that was different than Europe, that was all the rage in England before America was founded. That since 1913 they've been taking out of the history classes, and now people argue with me that can't be true, and then it's not even challenged in any history book anywhere. You can go to the library, you can look at Wikipedia. There's not an opposing viewpoint. It's only what I said. It's not like you have to go out there and dig or something, or, you know, look at some conflicting... No. It's exactly what I said it is, and people don't look at it, because they've never heard of it before.
Right, and if they haven't heard about it, and you're just some person saying something, you have no authority on the issue because it hasn't been handed to them by, you know, a teacher or professor.
Or a famous person.
Right, exactly.
No, I don't know what kind of endorsement that is.
Well, in today's society, a famous person's endorsement is even more important than an actual researcher's endorsement.
I mean,
all George Clooney has to do is come out and say, you know what, 9/11 wasn't an inside job. 9/11, was terrorist attack in this country. We need to go bomb Iraq. No one would have questioned it.
Well, I can't. I talked about that John Ronson video about the Army being insane and doing remote viewing, and also the 1st Earth Battalion and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And then freaking George Clooney from Cincinnati makes this movie portraying the documentary, and now we've heard of it. But I told people, and they told me I was insane, and they wouldn't watch the video, but they all went to the movies to see this crap.
The Men Who
a
Stare at
remake
Goats.
of a documentary.
Right, The Men Who Stare at Goats.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is it any good? I thought it was a piss take.
The movie's all right because it's a direct copy of a documentary, which is all true.
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, the real thing, I remember I stopped listening to the Power Hour, well, because I found out the truth about Joyce Riley, even though I really liked Dave Von Kleist. I used to listen to it because it was just on. I don't know, in the morning. But they had Rima Labo on, and her husband is Major General Stubblebine, who explains that he wanted to walk through walls.
I have to live with. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, he wanted to walk through walls, and he attempted to walk through his office wall there at the Pentagon.
Yeah.
And I would think that would be the single most discrediting thing you can think of. And this didn't, but apparently Joyce Riley's insane, and she's an Army plant and all this, and that's all proven in a wonderful 5-hour video that you can get on YouTube. Or not YouTube, Google Video. But in her own voice, no less. So it got to the point where I mailed them the copy of the documentary on disc, and it still couldn't break whatever creepy bond Joyce Riley had with Rima Labo. They were, I don't know, special friends, and nothing could deter her from taking her seriously. That's the wife of Major Stubblebine there, and she's just as crazy as he is, and they live in, they're such patriots that they live now in Costa Rica. Because
whenever somebody finally hits a point of a high enough level of power, fame, etc., they get out of the country.
Yeah, they know what's coming.
Right.
There's massive income tax, isn't there, in America?
Yeah. Not as bad as England, though.
Yeah, well, simply, not really.
We got better loopholes and stuff here, though. We got better accountants.
They talk about what a brave and honest man Elton John is for paying the taxes and that. Well,
he's gay. He's none of those things.
I realize that, but he also didn't write any of the songs. Bernie did, and Bernie lives in Switzerland, I understand. All the money goes to Bernie. Bernie wrote the songs and produced the albums. Elton has never written a song yet. He actually tried to marry this Baroness, and then we heard the album that he had when he had to write his own material when he had broken up with Bernie, and he doesn't write songs. He's never written a song. He's never been in the room, he explained to a Rolling Stone interview, when Bernie wrote a song. He's never been in the room with Bernie, like even just to sit there and watch him. So he's not. People say, "Well, Elton writes the music." No, he doesn't. He's never been in the room.
The glory hole.
Yeah, I guess that's it. He sticks it in from the outside.
That's what that's technically using the next room.
Right.
Sure.
But
I think that's probably that's the model for everything they're doing in the current music industry right now. Lady Gaga doesn't write her own music. Britney Spears.
But these people are not allowed to. He could have, but he can't. He doesn't write it. Right. He just wears a Donald Duck outfit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what it's come down to. In the 70s, at least, his outfits were interesting, but everything he did, I'm Still Standing, his music materials just sucked.
Yeah.
I'm not the world's greatest fan of Elton John, but you know what I mean? I'm Still Standing, like his big sort of comeback song, and ever since then, everything he's done just sucks.
No, Bernie wrote that one too.
Yeah, not surprised. He wrote all of them. But it's saying it's been like Disney crap and stuff, isn't it?
Right, he's a soundtrack guy.
Yeah, I'm on
personality while they have a duck, and he skins it.
Right.
You do a whole new world!
Right, Elton John is England's version of Randy Newman.
No, Randy Newman writes that's awful stuff, and Randy Newman actually writes that crap.
That's even more frightening. I think I could forgive him if he didn't write the crap.
Yeah. No. I don't think I could forgive him. No.
And he's married to Disney anyway.
Okay, well, anyway, what I wanted to talk about publicly, I spoke up. I took advantage of Joe Blow because I knew he was the weakest one on the air, and I got my message across. And then I got sucked into the Joe Blow vortex, and then I got blown out of the Joe Blow vortex because he's Stalin. You know. As we all, what's interesting is Joe Blow fired himself. I still know all the people from the Joe Blow show except him. Here's Maggot. You know.
Right.
Well, anyway,
you got ejected from the Joe Blow show too, though. Right?
Yeah, we all have. I mean,
everybody does, except for Chronic, who seems to try to imitate me or something. It's quite strange. I haven't really listened to much of his stuff. I'm just like, okay,
there's something
going at the camera. Okay, that's nothing new.
That's not what I want. But so what I talked about on that first show, he was trying to do a serious show at the time to counteract his comedy show, and I was talking about the two skeleton keys that were missing from the Truth Movement. That how can you fix the problems if you're going to come to a faulty conclusion, and so the propaganda is working? It's that, and this is easily verified. I mean, it's not like I have to. People's like, oh, prove it. Pick up a book. You know, I mean, it's not like
in a way that doesn't.
I can't read. Prove it.
Right?
No, I mean it's not like I have to go to some complex source. I mean, it's, that the America has sources. It's not. They went they in high school and college they take you to Western Civ, and Western Civ is a false situation where they tell you that it's Mesopotamia, Phoenicians, Egyptians, then ancient Greece, then Rome, and then Rome falls, and there's the Dark Ages, and there's a Renaissance, and the map can't move even 1 inch over.
Right.
It'll show you a dead ancient Greece, but this Byzantine Empire can't possibly exist. And so that people come to the conclusion that the Turks have always lived there.
Sure.
No. The Turks showed up in 1453. Well,
yeah, they
earlier.
were carried across by giant turkeys.
Well, no, they were running scared from Genghis Khan, but they were running with their pants down, wetting their pants.
Yeah. He flew on the bird of prey from the Klingon Empire. Yeah.
Genghis Khan scared them. They ran all the way across.
Genghis Khan, the forerunner to Star Wars.
Yeah, second one.
He
in Star
split the
Wars
races.
Series. Right.
Yeah.
So, but anyway,
Shaka Khan.
The whole counter, the reason for putting the knife to King John's neck, Runnymede, forcing common law upon him, and the reason for the reason for Greek mania in England and France and in poetry and in culture that they were trying to put down all these years, especially during this Renaissance, is because of the Byzantine Empire.
Right, because it wasn't Greek in the sense of Aristotle, Socrates, etc., etc. It was actually Byzantine Greek, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's not. They call it Oriental Greek. There's an Occidental Greek, and those people. There's in ancient times after after ancient Greece, the classical period. Then these Macedonians were coming south, so they took off to Sicily and Asia Minor, and they also were the ones hopping up the people in Rome to make the Roman Empire. Because if you notice, there's an equal translation, one god for one god. Every single they didn't have one original thing. It's the application of Greek thought, and they came down to fascism, and they didn't. Then it became corruption and debauching the currency and telling the public that everyone around you is a slave, or everyone around you is a criminal, and that we have an external threat we have to keep fighting. And the whole thing is
that sounds surprisingly
oddly familiar. Yes, oddly familiar. And that was doomed to failure, you see. And so the Greeks pulled out of Rome, and Constantine...
Didn't the Romans have a god for roads or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. How boring is that?
Aphrodite is Venus, and...
Right?
Anyway,
yeah.
It's a one-for-one...
Arrowhead
Jupiter,
it's a one-to-one translation.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And in some cases, they didn't even bother to change the name. Like
Right.
Apollo in both.
Yeah.
It's almost
So-
like they're porting a religion from like one format to another, and then they added some extras.
Now
They took
then,
the count- well, come.
so then the Goths and Ostrogoths and all this were coming south, and they were they were barbarians and all this, and they were ruining the whole thing, and it was already going to be destroyed on its own.
Yeah.
And so Constantine accepts Christianity, and that's where the story is supposed to
Save us from
end.
the Goths.
Yeah, but that's where the story is supposed to end. The guy had another half of his life. He picks up the empire and leaves. It didn't split into east and west because the other side didn't last 10 years or something. It didn't last at all. The minute the Greeks pulled out of Rome, the thing went down the drain. And they picked up the empire and moved it 800 miles to the east, and it's the Byzantine Empire. And Constantine fixed all the problems. He turned it from the top-down pyramid that you see on the back of the dollar bill to upside down, where the flat part's on top.
About the Goths briefly, didn't they originate from Germany?
Norway, Denmark, I don't know.
Yeah.
They're all that
and
kind of
didn't they invade or get all the way to Italy or whatever from using Roman roads?
Right, the Romans made it a lot easier to get around.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, sort of like use their own technology against them. Yeah, they were just basically sort of like barbarians. And didn't they have white and black houses?
I don't
sort
know.
of like in Tudor times. I think so. That's where the Goth thing comes from.
And supposedly they're, according to Ring of Power, which I don't know how valid that is, they're being led by the tribe of Dan and Naphtali at the top, just at the top, not the people, not the main Vandals, but like the leadership of like 2 or 3 people.
Yeah.
Okay. But so that's why they're
important. It is important biblically, tribe of Dan, but it's something to do with the tribe of Cain or something, descendants of Cain or something.
No, I don't want to validate Christian identity because that's bullshit.
No, that's it. I mean, they kind of
but-
write it after the event, write it historically after it's happened.
Right.
Well, that's
But-
how it all gets.
okay.
Yeah.
So, the Byzantines they didn't call themselves Byzantines. That's in English from England. They called themselves Romans in Greek. When my grandfather came over here as a refugee, they said, "What is your nationality?" And he said in Greek, he said Romeo, which is Roman. That's what they thought they were.
Yeah. So like Romeo is in Romeo and Juliet. That means Roman and Juliet. So what does Juliet mean then?
I don't know.
Not Greek.
That's worth looking.
Not Roman
that's worth
Greeks,
looking
right?
it up. No.
Yeah. No, I
But,
was thinking, because obviously if Romeo is a code, it's also the letter R, I think, in police code. You know, like Alpha, Bravo, Tango, Romeo. I think Juliet is police code as well. Well, when they're doing like, car registration plates.
Yeah.
Sure.
Victor.
Complicated.
Commonly, it's commonly familiar language.
Yeah,
So-
Delta.
Yeah, but so Constantine picks up the thing and moves. Now, so then you're left with these bitter left behinds there in Rome, in the city of Rome, who want the power back desperately. And see, by the time all this happened, there was the Council of Nicaea, which is all misrepresented in Western Europe because there's this bizarre Catholic bias to everything. They are the bitter left behinds when Constantine picked up the empire and left. It's like people, imagine I moved across town and people are still in my apartment maintaining that they're me. Getting my old mail, operating my correspondence. I mean, I moved.
Like
Right?
the phone calls that you're getting for the gal that used to live there.
No, she didn't live at my address. She had my old phone number. I finally found out where that woman lived. She ran away with merchandise, and I keep getting the credit calls. Thanks a lot. But anyway, so by the time the Council of Nicaea happened, they had the original Christian religion had 5 churches: Rome, Constantinople, Antioch, Alexandria, and Jerusalem. And they were equal, and they were not top down. The only king is Christ, and there's nobody in the middle
Sure.
who tells you what to do. Right?
No Pope.
So, yeah, no pope, no pope, and they had
no
patriarchs.
priesthood, is there?
There's a priesthood, there's bishops, but it's all. See, you got to imagine the
But
pyramid.
it's all
is-
locally controlled. It's all local stuff.
yeah, but I mean the pyramid is upside down. The pin
Yeah,
is at the
yeah.
bottom.
Is it the priest is more like somebody you're going to meet down the pub sort of thing,
Well, the priest is
rather
your
than somebody who
employee.
lives away, secluded from society.
No,
That's
the priest,
that's all suggestion anyway.
the priest is your employee at your church. The priest is there to do what you want.
Okay,
All authority in the Byzantine system is there to do what you want.
sort of like a freelancing council worker. We're not freelancing, but you know what I mean.
They don't have. Well, they have a responsibility, but they don't have an authority.
Yeah. Well, it's, like sort of like the council. In theory, you know, if they were like council workers supposed to like clean the leaves, then you would say point out another area they could clean. But you know, average sort of like civilian can't do that. They'd have to go through the council. But if you took out the council element, and if they were just working for the people, then you know they would have to do what you said, sort of thing.
They would pick up the garbage. They would
it'd be their
catch
duty
the criminal
anyway.
that you identified.
Yeah.
As
But they don't do that now.
The criminal.
Yeah.
Well, and just real briefly, just for my own purpose of understanding, there's the quote-unquote Byzantine system was the primary influence then, obviously, on the framing of the Constitution, in which all power, the mass amount of power, is delegated to the states and the people in the states and the populace, and the government is supposed to exist not as an overseer, but as the fundamental under-responsibility element.
The servant.
Right.
Although the Constitution isn't directed at us, it's directed at limiting the government and its power.
Right.
And they didn't invent this out of whole cloth. They got this from the Byzantine system that they had studied. You always hear about the Founding Fathers in their study of Greek. The reason they were studying Greek is not because they were studying Aristotle or Socrates or whatever. Socrates himself told you that democracy is the worst system ever.
Sure.
It leads to tyranny. It's a trick.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Syed Qutb was interested in democracy too. He wanted one vote where you were going to put in an Islamic government, and then there would be no more voting.
Is democracy also called the last system of government?
Yeah.
They used democracy after they tried all the other ones.
Right. It's a trick.
Yeah.
Sure. And if you've ever read the Communist Manifesto, Karl Marx indicates right from the get-go that democracy is the foundation for communism.
Yeah, because they have the one vote, and they call it the People's Democratic. See, it also locks you into this idea that, well, you voted for this wonderful system, you're invested in it. That's why people who voted for Obama can't see any of his flaws. They voted for this guy.
Right.
He's their man. So when he does stuff, it's not criminal to them, even though it's exactly what Bush did.
Yeah, exactly.
But see, in the Byzantine system, since the people who are supposed it's shaped just like the Roman fascist system that you've heard of, right? Except that it's upside down.
Sure.
So that you have a chance to respect these people. They can have a respected position because they would never have the opportunity to say, "You're going to do what I want. Serve me." No, they serve you. See what I mean? This system lasted 1126 years because people like it.
Right.
It's empowering.
Sure, of course. Well, it's empowering. Unfortunately, what I think most people look at it as is they see this great level of a personal responsibility that comes along with it, and they freak out though because we've been so trained.
We've been sold on limited liability.
Well, we've been so trained to believe that everything else is somebody else's responsibility, not yours.
Right. It's about that. That's who was the one president said the buck stops here, because the whole society had become avoiding responsibility.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Harry Truman.
But America existed that way from 1776 till 1913. No income tax, no nanny state, and everybody was responsible to the three laws. That's what Menard is restoring because it's underneath there.
Sure,
it's still there.
It exists.
Yeah. They didn't dismantle the system; they just paved admiralty on top of it.
Right, and unfortunately, we're in danger of allowing them to continue paving over the top of it unless we become like that grass, that natural law grass underneath there, a pavement of admiralty.
Cobblestones, They will dismantle it if they put in the North American Union.
Oh, of course they will.
That'll be it. Yeah.
Folks, don't think for a second that isn't going to happen.
That's not a conspiracy theory, because if you go to judicialwatch.org/SPP, unfortunately it's 3 capital letters SPP. Usually everything's lowercase on the web.
Mm-hmm.
They have 1,000 pages. I don't understand our government at all. If you had a secret like this and you had one, why would you respond to a FOIA request and give out 1,000 pages of proof to people who didn't have anything? It's 1,000 pages of PDFs. When they say it's 1,000 pages, it's 1,100 pages. And it goes into detail. It names names. It's the organizational charts. It's the plans of which corporations are going to get what. It's the North American Union as they described with the Amero, by the way.
Right.
There's no theory to this.
No. This is already happening and being instituted.
What are they laying on us? The Roman system. Mm-hmm. You can't pave over the Byzantine system with the Roman system if people are aware of the Byzantine system, because that's you being in charge.
Sure.
But see, they had to make you ignorant of it. See what I mean?
Had to completely remove it from any consideration of study or any consideration of being taught.
This sounds like science fiction when I describe it to people. They think I'm insane. And then I tell them, go to a children's encyclopedia and look it up. Now, everybody dismisses Wikipedia. Wikipedia does not conflict with what I'm saying. Nothing does.
Right. If you
there's not an opposing viewpoint here.
Right. It's accurate history. It's the difference between accepting what you learn in your history class and reading Howard Zinn.
Howard Zinn, the commie, he's all right. He's not. I wouldn't bank on him.
He's dead now, so you're pretty fine. And I haven't read everything he's written. The only thing that I have read is
the minute you liked Howard Zinn, then you start listening to the Parenti guy, and then you're a commie, and then you forgot about why you're doing this.
Wait, the who guy?
Michael Parenti. He follows on Zinn.
I have no idea who that is. And
throw up. You just keep throwing up.
At least I like to believe that I'm at least intelligent enough to.
I'm not a lib.
My own mind.
Howard Zinn's a lib.
Well, sure, of course. There's no question about that. But the level of information that is constantly hidden in our quote, end quote, public education system.
It's so hidden that even libs expose it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, I'm trying to get somewhere here.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
See, and that's really sick and antithetical. It shows you I've been raised in the wrong system.
My show, damn it.
I know.
I'm controlling it.
I'm about to explain how I'm not in charge of anything. So that's really great. I'm pushing my way through.
All right. Let's hold on. We got to let Stratios control the show so we can tell how he's not in control of everything.
Isn't that great? I'm learning.
Yay! Oh. Well, you're being ironic, though. Isn't that what you really want?
Irony is all hip comedy. So anyway, I'm just trying to get my point across, and then you can attack me as much as you want. All right. So I wanted to skip ahead just a little bit. Now I'm going to go back to where I was going. So they had the pentarchy, which is modeled on the Byzantine system as well. The 5 churches who are all equal with a priest, a bishop. It's a structure that looks like the Roman system, like fascism, like the Roman governmental system, except it's upside down. Like the Byzantine governmental system is upside down. It has the same structure, except it's the flat part of the pyramid's on the top, and the pin is at the bottom.
Sure.
Okay. So there's no pope. There was a Roman patriarch and a Roman church, but also Constantine had abandoned the city. Nobody lived. I mean, a few people lived there, and they were really angry, left behind there in Rome. See what I mean? And so, yeah. So by 1054, they had plunged Europe into a dark ages, and they had paganized the Roman Church to the point where it was repulsive to the other 4. They had stopped following the rules.
They have an orgy besides church and stuff.
Yeah, well, it's like if you had a baseball league.
Yeah.
and one of the teams breaks off and starts playing volleyball, changes all the rules.
Yeah.
The other four teams
hanging
are still
people
playing
by,
baseball and
distance.
have not changed the baseball rules. And the other team is playing volleyball by this point. They aren't even compatible anymore. They brought in all this paganism. They decided to flip the system so it's back to the original Roman fascist system where the Pope tells you what to do. And by 1054, they broke away from the other four churches who did not change anything. See what I mean? That there was a Christian religion, and then there's this crazy Roman church, which people think, well, it's the city of Rome, it's the Roman church, it must be the Roman Empire. No. Not after 336.
It's the Holy Roman Empire, isn't it?
And they didn't break away till 1054. See what I mean?
Right.
And their reestablishment of a Roman church government has no continuity whatsoever with the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire with continuity is over there in Byzantium, which they don't want to talk about.
This I might be repeating what you said earlier. Isn't this when Emperor Constantine was scared of the pagans and he converted to Christianity because they were worried about pagans taking over?
That's Roman Catholic Church propaganda.
Ah.
He picked up the empire. He was the emperor of the Roman Empire, and he picked it up and left.
Yeah.
I moved from one apartment to another. You know what I mean? I don't live there anymore. So when you
I see. Yeah. Pick and choose this religion sort of thing. Yeah.
Right, but since it's still the city of Rome, they think that there's some kind of Roman Empire there still, but it didn't. And then they tell you the Roman Empire fell. And then before you can blink your eyes, there's a Holy Roman Empire. Well, it's not but blink your eyes, it's 1,000 years later. And it has this corrupt, paganized, phony, non-Christian religion that masquerades as Christianity. With its own catechism, who doesn't... A religion that doesn't want you to see the scripture. A religion that holds the scripture in Latin and won't let you see it.
Well,
and you have to listen to them to hear about it. And they force it on you as soldiers.
Yeah.
And that's not Christianity.
And that was when Lucifer took over the Roman Empire.
Oh my God. No. The Roman Empire left. This is the bitter ashes. This is the fortress of solitude with no crystals.
No, I'm kind of sort of paraphrasing.
No hope of recovery.
Yeah.
See what I mean?
In the Slain comics, there's a character who seems to be like Lucifer, and he seems to have taken over the Roman Empire at one point. And so I'm thinking that's what he was basing it on in the comics. But unless you read the comics, then
no, that's your Holy Roman Empire. That's trying to reestablish it on the basis of nothing.
Yeah, because he's the Lord of Limitless Light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
And you hold people in ignorance and then hold them responsible for the information that you give them.
Well, you prevent people from getting information by presenting it in a language nobody understands outside the clergy.
Right.
You create a priest class, and then you reduce the people from being able to access the information directly, and so they can only speak through the priests to get any information they want.
The Holy Roman Empire never had the organization that Roman Empire did.
Right.
They never had that kind of structure, or either upside down or right side up. They never had it.
Sure.
They had a brute squad.
Yeah.
And these crazy knights running around.
Yeah. Sure. I think the series I was talking about was called Demon Slayer. It's in the Slain series. So if anybody,
I've seen this stuff, and it validates the bullcrap Roman Catholic Church position. Now people think I must be a black pope or I must be a big hater of the Catholic Church. I have no interest in the Catholic Church, but I'm not proselytizing for an Orthodox Church, am I? I am giving desperate history lessons because I am terrified that we are going to repeat history and then not know how to fix the problem. I'm not advocating for Byzantium, and I am not advocating for a religion. But the primary reason people hate Christianity is because of the example that the Catholic and post-Catholic religions set. They tell you that they're the holy, pious people who are infallible. Even if they do molest children, they're still the best people on earth.
The best people are doing it.
And they're right to do it. And how dare you accuse them? And they're above the law, too.
God damn anybody else who tries to molest my children.
Yeah, so there's a type of thing called Satanism, which is really anti-Catholicism, which is like Ozzy Osbourne. They're not Luciferians. They couldn't find Lucifer on a map. They don't know anything about the Lucifer religion. They are Satanists, they call themselves.
Did they find him in a triangle?
Well, no, they didn't find that. This is,
what do you mean that connection?
And by the way, while they were paganized it, they Judaized it too. I mean, why does he wear a yarmulke? Why does he wear a fish hat? It's Dagon. That's pagan.
Yeah.
They had Jewish popes. They had Roman popes. They had the Jesuit order. It's a whole mishmash of evil. Any way you want to cut it. And if anybody wants to tell me, I'm bashing Jews, I will read from the Talmud and defend my position. I challenge you to tell me how I'm anti-Semitic. To tell me that I'm against people who are not Semites, who are really Khazarian Turks. Bull crap. Run away from me, please. Tell me how I'm so terrible. I will defend it page by page by page in the Talmud. I'm not going to take any crap.
You know what I mean? Anti-Semitic, it's anti-semantic, or is
it's anti-semantic. They're not Semites. You know who the Semites are? The Palestinians. We like the Palestinians. I'm not.
They're not Stevenson.
They're not the Semites. If you attack me and claim that I'm you attack me, and my defense to this is that you're anti-Chinese. Unfortunately, I'm not Chinese. See what I mean? That's crazy talk. How can I possibly claim that you're anti-Chinese for attacking me? I'm not Chinese. That's the bull crap of the modern day Pharisee
I was going to mention
religion.
One thing about the Dagon thing. Actually, didn't the Dagon tribe originate from China?
Possibly.
Aren't they though, that wacky little tribe of pygmies? And they had this disc. Supposedly came from a UFO. And
it comes from the sea. Dagon, the repulsive fish people.
Yeah, that's the from the Lovecraft. I don't know. I think it's
no. It's not just Lovecraft.
It's not just Lovecraft. It's Dagon.
Has a historical background. Freeman Fly talks about it very effectively. Freeman Fly has references. You know the guy with the ponytail. I really like him. I know him, but he can explain that. I'm not very good at explaining Dagon. Or our goddess in America, Columbia, who doesn't exist, who's Lucifer. Yeah. He really has a handle on these things that I don't have. But okay, so there's a post 1054 Roman Catholic Church, and then everybody proceeded to break off of that you've ever heard of. And they are not interested in telling you about the Orthodox Church. When they're nailed on this topic, they will admit that, okay, the Catholic Church broke off in 1054. There's an interesting, the most holy family monastery who tells you really the truth about most things, and then has the gall to call the Orthodox Church schismatics. It's like the baseball league. One of them changes all the rules to become volleyball, but they want to pretend that they've always been playing volleyball, and what are these crazy people with this ball and stick game? Wait a minute. You see what I mean? Baseball Commissioner Jesus is not fooled by this. See what I mean? You can't change all the rules and then claim you didn't change anything. They change every rule. You know what I mean? They're the total These are the people that sold you indulgences to pay for their cathedrals. That was, I'm planning to commit a sin next week, so I'll just buy an indulgence now and get... No, you can't do that.
Well,
what religion is this?
That's an extension of Talmudic law, isn't it?
Yeah, they do it in Talmud. They do it in the Talmud too.
You sort of reminded me in Alice in Wonderland. You know, when they plant white roses, so they're white roses, and then the Queen's cards set paints them red, but of course they're still white roses.
They plant roses and they come up white, and they need to
because they planted white roses.
Well, they've got evil, and they paint the word holy on it.
That's it.
So they tell you it's holy, but it's obviously
still white. Yeah, even though they claim it's red. So it doesn't matter what color you paint it; it's still a white rose.
Now, then I have to sit here and listen to how the Western Europeans are so smart, and they're the white people, and they don't count us. We don't exist. The Byzantine Greeks, and then they're so darn smart. They only got fooled by the Catholic Church for what? More than 1,000 years, and longer till today, where we have the New World Order.
Well,
they're so smart.
Oh yeah,
they're just so smart.
Give us another chance. They won't fool us for another 1,000 years.
Yeah, yeah.
And
They're right. But they didn't have a lot of documentation there in Western Europe. But boy, that Byzantine Empire did nothing but write stuff down, and they wrote it down on pot. So it's like the Constitution; it lasted forever. You can still go see the Constitution. It's written on pot. Because when you write stuff on hemp, it lasts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even petty lawsuits in Byzantine Empire are preserved perfectly because they wrote it on pot. I mean, like the littlest petty little lawsuits preserved. I mean, these people did nothing but write stuff down. There's endless documentation for what I'm saying. It goes on for miles. The University of Cincinnati has that Blagin was a criminal, and he brought all this antiquities to Cincinnati. There's a whole building on the Byzantine Empire. There are a lot of universities. If you really want to go see the Byzantine Empire, go to the British Museum where it is. Because when the Turks took over in 1453 after the Catholic looting, the Turks are very stupid, and so the English the English people were interested in getting rid of this top-down control and getting rid of the Catholic Church and all this because it tells you what to do all the time. I mean, who wants a king that tells you what to do? I mean, they wanted a Magna Carta because they heard about the Byzantine Empire. They put a knife to the guy's throat to get to the Magna Carta. And this whole basis of common law comes from the Byzantine system. And this whole fad, why they always joke about the flower of English manhood. You know, Hillary and Evelyn, and they're all girls' names.
Yeah.
Well, one of them is Evelyn. That's because of the incredible popularity of the Byzantine Empire as a way of threatening the monarchy in England. They would just bring it up on purpose. All they had to do was bring up Greece or bring up the Byzantine Empire, and it would just threaten them so much that they would freak out. This monarch. And that was the whole point of bringing it up.
Like in the new series of V. Yeah, because all they need to do is say John May, and she has a fit.
Right, and the thing is, the reason they do that is to threaten them. We're going to get rid of you. We're going to put in the Byzantine Empire. Watch out. And so when these people got to America, they fulfilled their threat. Now we have to listen to people telling us, "Oh no, they were Masons." The degrees of Masonry, the Scottish Rite and the whole bit, was not created until 1850 when what's his name came up with it, Albert Pike. There's no morals and dogma before 1850. Now, I'm not saying they're good guys. They're still okay, but they were overwhelming fans of the Byzantine Empire, and the Masonry wasn't so strong yet. And the conspiracy by Adam Weishaupt, between the Jewish and the Jesuit order, the one crossed in one guy. You know, he was a Jew who became Catholic to become a Jesuit. You know. Yeah. He came up with the conspiracy there for them.
Sort of Bill Schnoebelen of his time.
Yeah. Well, no, Schnoebelen's a joiner, not an inventor. But so Adam Weishaupt started his conspiracy to get rid of the American Byzantine system in 1776. They didn't succeed in 1776. They started the conspiracy in Bavaria, and they had to move it to America and fight. Then they created the Civil War and every possible thing to screw us over until they finally got the Federal Reserve System.
1913.
That's right. But they had been tearing us apart. If you see Wild Wild West, the remake, it didn't really contain the old 60s series. It was with Kevin Kline and Will Smith.
Will Smith.
There was an interesting map they showed. That was the intentions of the European powers, to rip up America and hand it over to the European powers. They show a map in the movie. That was the intended map.
Yeah.
It's interesting they showed it. I mean, that's the only reason I bring it up. They had all these plans to get America back and to nail them down and to lock out the Byzantine system and force the Roman system back on them, because that's what Europe has, the Roman system. And it's not because of the Roman Empire. It's because those bitter, sour grapes committee, kind of bitter left-behinds who had their Roman church but no Roman government after 336. Who it took them from 336 to 1054 to ruin Christianity just in the one church. The other people didn't change anything. So anyway, the Byzantine Empire goes on for 1126 years, while stewing over in left-behind land is the Roman Church and the Holy Roman Empire made out of nothing. So they decide they're going to save the Holy Land. Another insanity from the Pope. A long list of abuses from the Pope. And so there's this fourth crusade you can read about where they didn't really go to the Holy Land. They were looting Constantinople. And
they weren't even sure where it was, were they? They sort of
they
like
miss it. Yeah.
Yeah.
They went
Sort
to
of
Rome.
like the Holy Land. It's that away. Totally Monty Python.
They totally missed it. Yeah. On the Fourth Crusade.
Yeah. It's over that hill.
they looted the richest city in the world, Constantinople, and they spent they weakened it in a way that when the Turks were coming from the other side, the Catholic looters didn't know this. That Genghis Khan had split the races, and the Turks were now screaming across Asia, coming towards us in Asia Minor.
Constantinople, you can.
They didn't know that, but they had so weakened the empire that finally Constantinople is taken over, and the Byzantine Empire is crushed. Not because it's corrupt, not because there's an elite who's debauching the currency, not because they're, you know what I'm saying? When crazy Alex Jones screams that there's no empire has ever lasted more than 400 years, and all empires of the past died of corruption, it's because that we don't exist. My people don't exist somehow. I have to listen to this over and over. So I was really happy just doing research. It just kept building up in my mind. I'm thinking, man, we don't exist. And I have nothing in common with these people in the Patriot movement of the South. There, I'm not an evangelical Christian. In Orthodox Christianity, you don't push your religion on somebody. It's voluntary. There's no authority under which you would push it on somebody.
In all forms of real Christianity and any form of real religion, it can never be imposed. It has to be something that has to be accepted.
Yeah, you see, a lot of these places, like when Rome, the city of Rome, breaks off of the Pentarchy, they replaced it with Kiev because Kiev wanted it. You know what I mean? That was the new fifth church. That's why all the Russian people are Russian Orthodox. There's no other denominations there. There are these Khazarian Turks who were, you know, where they had that blow up there in South Ossetia. If you go a little north of South Ossetia, between the two water masses there, that's where Khazaria was, and they had a brilliant FU message. They didn't like Orthodoxy on one side. They didn't like Islam on the other side. Islam was pushing them. So they decided as an FU move to become Jewish. They chose themselves. They're not the chosen people. Nowhere in the Bible does it say, meanwhile, 3,000 miles away, this unrelated group of Turks. No. I've never seen that anywhere. These people converted voluntarily in the year 800 as an FU move. I mean, if I had a time travel machine, the first thing I would do is go back to 800 AD and convince the king of Khazaria to convert to Hinduism. It's the same FU move. It's a brilliant FU move. I am with them 100%. You know what I mean? As far as a great, brilliant FU move to the people on either side of them, that was great. Smooth, huh?
Yeah.
You understand FU. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, but anyway, but the entire remaining mass of the entire Russian people are Russian Orthodox Christian. But see, when the Khazarian Turks, the Khazars, forced communism on them because American agents paid for it, and they sent Trotsky, they sent Lenin, they sent Stalin. Stalin was educated in Paris at a Jesuit university. When the Jews forced communism on them because of their American agents who paid for it all, they told everybody that they were all atheists. But that wasn't true of the people of Russia, who they're so obsessed with the Byzantine Empire, they adopted a Byzantine-like Greek alphabet. You've seen the Russian alphabet? Does that look oddly familiar?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And
Isn't it called Cyrillic or something?
Cyrillic.
Yeah,
Cyrillic. Yeah.
Is it
So
Cyrillic?
Yeah. It's not too. Carry on.
It's
I'll
not.
just
It's
undo it.
close, but it's not. You know, it's not,
Yeah.
not exact. Okay.
Yeah.
So in America, people have been made so ignorant of history that doesn't detail anything in the Western Civ class I outlined, that ignores the Byzantine Empire didn't exist. So the Baptists are so far away from Christianity and so far away from education that they sent missionaries to Russia trying to convert the godless communists they got laughed at. Well, they showed up there and they're all Russian Orthodox. Underground, but the whole country's Russian Orthodox. What are you going to convert them to? Silly Baptists from real Christianity to being Baptists, where you're so delusional, so deluded, and you're so sold on satanic reversals because Masons run your religion that they believe that speaking in tongues is where you speak gibberish.
Huh?
Anybody in Orthodox Christianity knows that if you're going to speak in tongues, let's say I had something dire of importance to say, and the Holy Spirit shows up and helps me out. There's a Chinese guy, there's a German guy, there's a French guy, there's a dog, and I'm speaking just like I am now, and everybody hears what they hear it in their language. The dog hears it in dog, but nobody hears a competing language.
Right. If I can for just a second, not all Baptists believes that that's the case.
I know. There's always some good, and the population of them they're kept away from reality by their Masonic leaders and 501c3 government ops. It's not their fault. Tex Mars is independent Baptist. Tex Mars is on the ball. I mean, there are people that break away and get the picture. I'm with you there.
Sure. I mean, well, it's even more than just that. For example, I attend what can be considered a Baptist church. It's a American Baptist church. And speaking in tongues is referred to as when you speak, it is heard in the native tongue of the listener, not that it's gibberish coming out of the person's mouth. That tends to be mostly Southern Baptist. It tends to be very Pentecostal churches.
Yeah.
It tends to be
Elmer Gantry.
Radical elements of the spectrum available out there. I'm sorry, I just wanted to pop that in real quick because I do attend what's considered a Baptist church, and speaking in tongues is never anything that's portrayed in that way. Although I do want to mention, just real briefly on your Masons subject, that every time I have been attempted to be recruited into the Freemasons, it's been from people who claim a particular religious affiliation, and most often Baptist.
They claim that because it's so easy. You know, if you're a real Mason above the 3rd degree, I mean, in the 3rd degree, sorry, you're yoked in with the other ones. But they know. At the 14th degree, they're given the book. They claim they don't read it, but they have to if they're going to go any higher. They got to read the book, the Morals and Dogma. It tells you you're praying to Lucifer. You can't get around it. You're also doing the Kabbalah, by the way.
Hey, geez, I really wish I could put us on air right now because the guy that's calling my phone, my house phone right now, is
Lucifer.
It's funny.
Give me the phone number. I've got Skype out. I'll call him.
Well, no, not necessarily a great idea. I don't want him to know that I wouldn't want him to know that he's being put on the air because he's the guy from my current church who's trying to recruit me into the Masons.
Told you.
Tell him later that we want to talk to him.
Speaking in tongues.
Well,
but anyway,
and he's like
68,
69 years old or whatever. So he's actively attempting to recruit me into the Masons. It's funny that we're talking about that, and he actually just tries to call me here. So I'm sorry.
The next time you're dumb enough to have a noose around your neck, a gun to your head, a knife to your heart, and what else do you have to have?
One of your legs.
Pants leg rolled up.
One pant leg pulled up, and I have to say that what I'm looking for is light.
Yeah,
and your breast exposed as well. One breast exposed.
Yeah, and you've lost your
got lovely breasts. I wouldn't mind exposing them. That's fine.
Hold on, I should probably take this.
For those of you who are just joining us or have been listening the whole time, once again, you are listening to American Freeman on the Freeman Radio Network. We're allowing Evstratios, the president of the Americas chapter, free reign during this show to go through and discuss what the Byzantine system is. I know we've brought it up before in other shows, but at least now you're getting a fuller and more complete understanding of what it is, how it operates, and why it's important to actually study and not be deluded by the mass amount of disinformation that you were constantly exposed to from the time that you were born. While we're waiting for him to get back with us here, I did want to ask Maggot a couple quick questions. Were you aware of the existence and all of these things that Estradios is talking about today?
Yeah, heard them before. Well, I've heard them on him before, and I knew about it before as well. Basically, I heard about the Byzantine Empire donkeys years ago, like 14, 16 years ago. I heard of it from Michael Moorcock's Eternal Champion series in particular, and I do remember going around asking people about it, and in the end I told somebody to go, who's representative, to go and investigate it. So there you go.
The Luciferians in the comic book, they're probably Roman Satanists, not
yeah, I think it's Castle Brass or something was supposedly based on the
real Luciferians are thrilled to death to have anti-Catholic Satanists bragging about their hatred of Christianity, mainly the Catholic Church, because it keeps them hidden. Real Luciferianism doesn't give a damn what we think.
Oh no,
they're not anti-Catholic. So you see what I mean? But they're always thrilled to have Ozzy's to put up there to crucify, because Ozzy cannot find. I mean, Ozzy
can't find a doorknob on his front door. Okay, he's not going to be able to find Luciferianism.
Sure, they won't let him in. See what I mean? He insists he's the Prince of Darkness and evil incarnate and all that.
I think that's all.
What has he done wrong? No, nothing. Ozzy's a good guy, right?
No, if he was that good, he'd have been like a lot more powerful, like 20-odd years ago, 30 years ago. He's waited for a reality TV show not to turn up in order to bring back his career. I mean, that's pathetic.
Right.
I like his music and stuff. I liked it when he was in Black Sabbath up till when he started. Yeah, I even liked the first Ozzy album, but even then, you know, it's sort of like he was doing good drugs in Black Sabbath, and then he went on to harder drugs that was slightly bad.
Smoking pot and doing acid with Black Sabbath, and then switched to methadone and other methamphetamines.
Basically whatever else when he's in Ozzy, and so like it has that effect. Even if you listen to it, you can hear the sort of like deterioration in quality, and it becomes more obviously pop oriented. Because you know, like Black Sabbath had nothing to do with writing pop songs. They wrote one pop song, which is "Paranoid," on the album, the same name, and that was apparently, according to them, was just like a total gimmick. You know, so something they wrote together in 5 minutes. You know, just boasting about it.
Something on. I mean, Blink-182 used to do that just to piss off other musicians out there, because they said they wrote like 4 albums worth of songs. They were all, 3.5 minute pop song stuff in like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And it adjusts so that they could prove how easy it is to write crappy pop music.
Yeah. I think they were lying slightly, because Paranoid is like one of their best songs anyway, and it's obviously, it just sounds totally different. It's got all like the catchy riffs and stuff, and it's got the amazing lyrics. If you actually read the lyrics, they're really, really good. Really sort of meaningful to them. That's the other thing with like Black Sabbath, is they have really meaningful lyrics. War Pigs is worth reading through lyrics on that. Apart from the first line or so, which is pretty crap.
Well, it's like early Pink Floyd versus later Pink Floyd. Early Pink Floyd was really cerebral, really intelligent, really fascinating, and then once they got past their first 2 albums, everything just started to fall apart. Before we get back to Estradios here, I did want to ask you just one more quick question. You mentioned Michael Moorcock. Are you referring to the guy who authored the Elric of Melniboné series?
Yeah, the Eternal Champion series. Well, I read the whole series. That was it. So I'm sort of like answering the same question, really. I heard the whole series, and I heard about the Byzantine Empire from reading that, apart from other things. And in the end, it's like some guy came up to me, and I told him to investigate the Byzantine Empire, because I just had some runner or something, but I got sick of mentioning it myself. But this was like when I was like 18 or something. People were always coming up to me asking me questions, about various things, and like investigate this or do that or the other, and I said, well, I already know about that. And because I like been to the pub like about 1,000 times, and nightclubs and stuff like that, you just get known as somebody who knows about things. Ask him, he'll know about it, sort of thing.
Yeah, here in America, they make fun of you for that. So,
do they? For knowing stuff?
Here in America, if you actually know stuff, a huge group of people who don't know anything will just constantly make fun of you for, "Jeez, I thought you knew everything. Jeez, aren't you a brainiac? Jeez, aren't you super smart?" So live someplace.
I went through that.
Maybe I live in the black hole center of the United States, in which all the morons dwell. But I have a firm tendency to believe that that's not the truth.
I might have gone through a phase of that when I was like 18, but I know how to get around that now anyway. I'm not bothered because it's always them coming up to me asking questions, and I was like, well, why do you keep asking questions then?
Right, yeah, sure, of course.
I know a million ways of responding to it. It's just, I've had a million hours pretty much wasted in pubs and clubs and stuff. And I know what you mean. That is a sort of phase. It's like, oh, it's because he's a nerd or whatever. But I mean, it's not like I wear glasses or anything. And it's not like a pencil neck or anything like that. So I don't really get that at all.
When I go to a wedding and the bride is wearing blue jeans and the groom is wearing a pair of cut-off shorts and a Hawaiian shirt, and that's what married in. I mean, this is the type of people I'm dealing with on a daily basis. Doesn't matter how old they are; they're still going to think people are nerds. But that's a topic for a whole other time. We can discuss that later. I wanted to get back to Evstratios as a breakdown of the Byzantine system. Is he back with us? I thought he was.
So I really don't know anything about them apart from the book, so I just thought they must have existed because he went on about them in such depth, and I think it was in the Chronicles of Castle Brass, which apparently was a metaphor for the history of the Byzantine Empire, but I got no idea. But it was like sort of like I was going through a phase of investigating like science fiction books and also a slight bit of fantasy books. I've never been such a big fan of fantasy books. I've always preferred science fiction.
Sure.
It's even like as a teenager and stuff, I knew that they were writing about social experiments in science fiction. Actual experiments they done on people, and like robots. When they talk about robots, they're talking about people who resolve social experiments. You get a lot more. It's a lot more obvious if further east you get in Europe. Somebody called A.E. van Vogt. I can't remember his initials. They're supposed to be letters. I don't think it's Albert Einstein, but he wrote a lot of like social engineering books. Like some of them really thinly veiled, and a lot of it's really blatant on like how to program people.
Sure.
Yeah. And a lot of that stuff dates back to the 1950s and 1960s.
I haven't read any of that. I'll have to check that out. I've balanced myself off pretty much in my readings between fantasy and science fiction. I agree with you. Science fiction tends to be more about social experiments. I think fantasy, though, has a capacity of being able to express governmental systems and religious systems in a way science fiction tends to fail from, and that's why I try to read both to get a better understanding of them. But I read the Elric series, the Moorcock series, when I was like 13, 14 years old.
Yeah. Well, the Eric series is just 1/10 of the whole Dicology, or whatever you want to call it. There's actually 10 aspects to the Eternal Champion. I read all like 10 or 13, 14 volumes of it. Over in England, it's like over 1,000 pages or something for each book. I read the whole damn thing. I was even got a job as an assistant librarian working for nothing, and that helped me finish them off and make sure I read all of them.
Way to sacrifice for your information, bro.
I'm just a total nerd. It's like I've told people, just imagine me as like a dragon in a library. I've seen that imagery put up there as well, somewhere on adverts. Yeah, so that's it. It's like basically sort of like a dragon in a library with like glasses, all hunched over and stuff, just like breathing fire onto the books, make sure nobody else can read them.
Sure.
No, it was terrible. I was terrible because I really sort of like completist collectivist attitude at times I can do, and just I just like find everything about a particular author possibly could. End up finding out all about all the articles they've written, like Robert Silverberg, the science fiction writer. I mean that's fairly obviously well known, but he used to write for Playboy as well.
Sure. Well, I think it's important to spend your time understanding everything that an author is actually writing about. I know I mentioned the other day on having read Heinlein, because we were talking about that.
Yeah.
I was a huge Heinlein fan. The first book by his that I actually read was Stranger in a Strange Land. It was fascinating. It was a brilliant, brilliant book, and then I read The Moon is a Harsh Mistress, and I started reading some more of his other novels and everything. And it wasn't until I got into his short stories years later that I started recognizing and realizing how much New World Order crap it was filled with. It's like rereading H.G. Wells after you understand that he was a fanatic globalist. You suddenly hit a point with them that if you see, their ideas can seem so great and fantastic, and but once you've investigated deeply enough, once you've read enough of it, you start being able to piece together where they came up with these propaganda ideas to confuse you with. And then you start applying that level of understanding to everything else that's going on around you. And it's like listening to politicians. They have a prescribed rhetoric that they use to galvanize the masses to agree with them and to treat them like rock stars. And if you actually break down and listen to what they're actually saying, it's some of the most insidious, vile stuff that's available out there. Mm-hmm. I would encourage you to check out Invisible Empire just to, for those of us who already know most of the things, already have experience with them, the movie's not going to teach you or show you anything that you aren't already aware of. It's really designed for people who are gaining their first introduction into this whole existence.
Well, yeah, and how long it's been going on for as well, because it hasn't just started since like the internet, or anything like that. It's been going on since before then. It's like the 1950s. It was quite obvious they were planning for it. War of the Worlds has got obvious references to one world government in it, and most science fiction stories start from the premise of a world government, really, basically, when it comes down to it. It's world government is threatened by aliens. It's like your bog standard B-movie science fiction thing, and so your Captain blah-de-blah flies out in his spacecraft and battles them all single-handedly.
Sure, exactly.
And again, that's sort of all that's to do with your Super Soldier Project and the Ultimate Elite Fighting Machine. These are all like metaphors, and your virtual gods and everything else. And it's always down. So much, especially in Hollywood, is down to one person doing everything. Saving the world. And Star Wars and the Pope is like the most obvious example I can think of. Is when they attack the Death Star.
Right.
There's like 1,700. Yeah, Luke Skywalker's the only. Yeah. There's supposedly 1,700 spaceships or something. They're all like piloted by elite pilots from all around the universe, basically. And the only person who completes the course and drops the bombs at the end is Luke Skywalker, and he does that by kind of like crossing his eyes and using the Force.
Right. Just lets go and lets his magical being work.
Yeah. So all these people are just like accidental sacrifices, and if you watch the movie, it's totally daft the way they die as well. It's just really a bit disturbing in a way. It's like, there's a fire on the ship, but it's okay, I'm still going. Yes, but the fire's moving, and it's okay, I'm still going.
And then boom.
Yeah. It's every single scene, you're just waiting for the person to die.
Yep. Oh, sure.
And it doesn't matter. Luke Skywalker could have his whole spacecraft destroyed, and you could just be sitting on a chair,
Yeah.
And R2 be underneath him, like running. And Darth Vader behind him shooting R2 at the butt, and then Luke Skywalker will still make it at the end because he'd like urinate into the Death Star or something.
Right.
There's just no way he's going to lose, basically. That's what's so sad about it. Just no way he can lose. And so all those people just sacrifice for no reason at all. Yeah. I'm the elite starfighter from the Andromeda Galaxy. Let me absorb all your bullets are heading towards you.
Wow, it's like we leaped into an episode of Doctor Who all of a sudden. Yeah. The thing that boggles my mind the most is that people out there will not accept the existence of the New World Order or accept that this could be real, but they'll go and they'll watch the Star Wars movies, and if you watch
they won't object to that. They won't object to like the stupidity of Luke Skywalker. They won't even think about his past. He's so dodgy. I hate him. That's why I have to wear a mask.
Well, but the first 3 episodes, not episodes 4, 5, and 6 that were done in the 70s, but episodes 1, 2, and 3 that were done recently within the last decade or so. If you watch those, they're nothing more than a complete education of how our current governmental system is consolidating power. If you think about it, somebody working from behind the scenes who's attempting to consolidate power creates a interplanetary or international or national, however you want to describe it, incident that galvanizes everyone into believing that there's a threat out there, and then that same person, the shadow element, is playing the supposed enemy and is controlling the supposed enemy and is controlling the good guys all the way through, and just constantly hyping and creating an entire war to push a military-industrial identity to consolidate all power and create an empire that they then are in control of. And people watch those movies and think they're fantastic, great movies, and what a brilliant idea and everything else. And then you say, yes, well, that's exactly what's happening in real life right now, and they go, no, that could never happen.
Well, it's cheap.
They're so willing to spend money for the purpose of a movie, and totally incompetent in recognizing its actuality of existence.
Well, yeah, I mean, the whole empire is formed by just a few people. The first movie, just to show you that Anakin Skywalker was a slave. The second movie was to show you that he was going to do what he's going to do anyway. He was going to turn to the dark side as expected, because he'd been given such a depressing life, whatever, with his mum being sold into bondage and stuff, and she gets killed or something anyway. In the end, I think he finds out and he murders the slavers or something. And also in the background you've got Insidious, or what his name is. And you got the really crappy Darth Maul, who's just there just so Darth Vader to come. It's like, I could do better than that, sort of thing. He messed it up. His tactics were rubbish. Using that quarterstaff, he's like monkey.
Well, but even in the second movie, I mean, they just exposed exactly the existence of what's going on.
Yeah. But the Death Star is like the global agenda sort of thing, really. With
global agenda for sure.
Yeah. But the Death Star itself, you can see that as the global agenda, because it's a whole world, a whole mechanized planet. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Where everything's structured and militarized and regimented.
And its sole purpose and design is to
sort of seek out new life and destroy it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it's akin to the Borg agenda idea, in that you will be assimilated. You will be part of us, or never mind, you are finished and done with.
Well, yeah, close to the Galactic Federation from the when we're talking about the Borg agenda from the Lenin Honor thing, because the Death Star was like, if you don't join the Empire, we'll destroy you, and that's the same with the Galactic Federation. If you don't join the Galactic Federation, we'll destroy you. Yeah, and they do it by crafty means as well. They don't just shoot a laser beam at the races that are soon to become extinct, sort of thing. They will just eke them out of existence. They'll just put trade embargoes or whatever. Oh no, there's a horrible virus on your planet. You better join us. We are the people who have a vaccine for that virus. Hee hee hee.
Right, exactly.
Shame you weren't watching when we dropped it on your planet a few moments ago.
Wow, it's the whole you create the problem and everything else.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, sort of in V suggested that they created the diseases in order to introduce the vaccine. I think it's once you're in that situation, even if you suspect that, then the people who actually can talk about it are kind of held down by the people at the top who can't accept it, that they've actually been had their power structure usurped.
Well, and once again, when you take a look at how we actually exist and live on this planet, that's exactly what happened this past year. I mean, they started talking about the swine flu being this major, gigantic, global epidemic outbreak, and everyone was going to, it was going to cause mass amounts of death and everything else.
Sure.
You needed to make sure that you were vaccinated. Well, the usual timeline that it takes to create a vaccine for any kind of a bacteria like that is like 6 months to a year, not including testing.
Yeah.
And before the swine flu even really made it outside of before it even made it out of Mexico, there was a vaccine available. Millions and millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of doses of the vaccine available to the populace. Well, how'd you create a vaccine and make sure that it worked before the disease actually ever hit anything? Unless, of course, you manufactured the disease in the first place.
Yeah.
No? And again,
You sort of create the two things at the same time. You don't let the virus out unless you have the vaccine already to contain it.
right.
Otherwise, you end up with the Moonraker syndrome. When they developed the virus that's going to kill everybody in the labs, and then James Bond just releases the virus in the unprotected area of the lab or something, and all the scientists choke to death.
Sure.
I mean, obviously people, well, besides the blah, whatever, but obviously people have seen that movie and thought, well, we don't want that happening, so we'll make sure we develop the vaccine before we finish testing on the virus, sort of thing.
Right, exactly.
I mean, it's not like Moonraker was watched by 3 people in the whole planet. It's other people, even in the elite, and even like the underdogs of the elite. People in like small developing countries who obviously might have thought of it, if they had much sense, would have thought about developing a sort of like killer virus to wipe out the neighbouring country.
Right, exactly.
But they're held back now by not being able to develop this vaccine. It's like a lot of money that goes on medicine, food and medicine, drug administration, all that sort of stuff. Is going to be developed on developing killer viruses and stuff. That's inevitable. Because
Center for Disease Control.
Yeah.
Here
It's all connected with the military.
It's not the Center for Disease Prevention. It's not the Center for Disease
Eradication.
It's the Center for Disease Control. It's so that they can control all of these viruses and outbreaks. I'm going to kind of cut us off there real quick, Maggot. I'm sorry, because it's an interesting conversation. I'd love to continue it. But Stratios is back with us now, and I'd like to continue his breakdown of the Byzantine system and the Byzantine Empire and how influential it's been and why it has the level of importance that it does. But we'll definitely pick this issue back up tomorrow or maybe later on this week, Maggot. Oh, sure. Now that I mentioned that he's back, he's got games on his iPod to play.
Yeah. I was only going to mention that Moonraker was only talking about stuff that had already been tried before.
Sure.
When they did the release of the virus. I mean, it's Second World War basically. Nazi testing concentration camps, and they tested out the drugs on the prisoners. That was the only bit I was missing. That was the bit when I said bloody blah. I just wanted to fill it in later.
Moonraker is as insulting, maybe not as insulting as the 2012 movie.
Haven't been bothered to watch
The
that.
elites who claim to be the Jews who aren't are saving themselves on art, a series of arts, while they allow
stuff to happen to us. Us to stupid ground. Which is
Well, yeah, it's a little
they're not even
up.
right.
You're double echoing there, Stratios.
Okay. No, it's
But
insulting.
Hugo Drax was Noah. I mean, he was fat. He had a beard. I mean, what more do you want? And probably Jewish as well,
Yeah.
Moses? Not Moses. Noah?
Yeah. Noah built the ark.
So anyway, back to the Byzantine system and everything.
What's really bizarre is I'm not doing the business. See, like this, but I've talked this.
Estrapioso, I'm going to cut you off real quick, and only because we can't understand what you're saying right now.
Your voice is skipping.
Yeah, you've got some skipping, and there's like a double layer of echoing going on. We definitely want to be able to hear you and understand you.
Good job.
Step away from your speakers. Turn your radio down, please. That's all I'm saying.
Raise your hands.
Go to the bathroom. Turn around 3 times. Put your yarmulke on.
Yeah.
Well,
There we go.
it sounds like I'm advocating the system that I'm from, which is true. But I'm not, because it's all voluntary and it's not supposed to be advocated because it's never an authority system that because people like it. We don't have to sell something. And I'm not selling Christianity and I'm not selling church or something. And what I'm trying to do is give desperate history lessons, history again, and then we see that, say, America is not an experiment, an invention from the founding fathers that has failed. It's a successful system that has been subverted. The one thing the Byzantines did not do, they made every mistake. They fought for over 100 years over just the concept of icons, but I don't like icons. They fought over everything, but they never put the Jews in charge.
Right.
And see, and that sounds horribly racist, but they stopped the no products, no usury, no ritual murder, which happened. We even have Orthodox saints of children who were first they were crucified, and they drain all the blood, then they drink the blood. I mean, look, my religion doesn't involve stealing your children and drinking their blood, for example. So they block every possible activity except he says one of them alone should collect taxes. That was pretty much it. So in America, though, we're very welcoming of other people and whatever. And even though we had this incredibly successful system, we finally got tricked by the Federal Reserve System, where they're strangling us to death. The Byzantine system doesn't have these failings because they never let them do these things.
Sure.
No debauching the currency, no strangling us with phony money, and
there's no ability at that level for the servants to be able to create and draft legislation and pass into law statutes that are automatically blanketed across the entire populace.
Right. And see how they made that sound really racist. Well, what do the Jews do when they get down? And even if you read the Talmud, it talks about how they have to act when they're not in church, and then how they act when they are in church. Boy, that's an idea. We're seeing the difference now. We're seeing people kind of arrogance and whatever now. But anyway, why I explained that, see, I get people coming at this readily because I'm part of the very system, so I must be a missionary, or I must be Christian for the name. No. I'm just trying to say it exists. And I have no authority on it.
Sure.
I'm just telling you it's out there. And part of the NWO propaganda is to keep people from knowing about this. And when they lay the Roman system of buying a license to do lawful activity and being a child your whole life, and this has precedence in history, and this is a doomed system, and there is a way out. And we had a previous system that was very successful in America. See, the Byzantine system is based on the golden rule, how Christianity works. When
Right.
you're not brainwashed to think that everyone around you is a criminal who's going to steal from you, and that there's an outside threat we have to go fight all the time, which is imaginary.
Right.
What holds a society together is the golden rule. I might want to go rape and rob people. I might want to go steal from them, but it's like I'm writing a blank check for them to come do it at my house.
Sure.
Why would I want that? So even if I don't have morals, which I do, it limits the crazier things I might want to do because now I'm writing them a blank check. Come steal at my house next. I mean, after I steal from you.
Sure.
I don't want that. I have some common sense. So if you don't have that going for you, the moral, then at least you have this. And that's what held the system together. This is the system in America we had, of course, that you could leave the keys in the car.
Oh, right.
You know, I mean, no one's gonna. That's how you knew where the keys were. Hovind says that's a great line. Ken Hovind says that's where we knew where the keys were. They were in the car.
Right.
You didn't have to lock your house. There weren't great gangs that would steal. And
Well,
if there were, you could arrange a posse to go get your stuff back. Because they're so aberrant in behavior that they're probably doing it next door too. You know,
Right.
It wasn't such a organized, planned event. There wasn't a syndicate to steal your bicycle, as there is in the cities now, or your car, chop shop, ready to go. They created these problems. These are problems to validate the top-down control that they're forcing on us. That's why they do this stuff. And so, because they have to validate the lie. That's why they need Muhammad Atta, even though he dates a stripper and lives at the Pensacola Naval Air Station, which, of course, that's the key to Islamic law, is to live at the Pensacola Naval Air Station and date a stripper who lives on you on the base, lives with you, and you wear gold jewelry, another tenet of fundamental Islam. Wrong. But they're always desperate to validate these lies that they've told us because that gives you a reason that we must have top-down control. See what I'm saying?
I do. I understand exactly what you're saying. I hope.
That's in the absence of the Byzantine system, which is fundamental to our society, which is not fundamental anymore because people are that far gone.
Well, but and not to
It's not
defend.
their fault, though. It's not their fault.
Right. It's
See,
they've been
Christianity to that degree because they have never heard of anything else. They think the Catholic Church is Christian.
right.
It has nothing to do. It doesn't have a different catechism. In the Catholic Catechism, not only do they not watch the single, but they split. They got rid of one, and they split two into one. I don't know what the point of that might be.
Well, but again, it has to do with the whole of providing centralized control to somebody because they had claimed to be the emissary and the touched by God and granted the ability to make decisions for you. There's such a huge group of people in this country who vote according to how their church tells them to vote, and it's not even Catholic.
Never had a neocons. The neocons who were exclusively Jewish are from the University of Chicago. Our entire political system has been subverted by one university. We have Saul Alinsky from the University of Chicago. We have Leo Strauss. And if you don't know, look up Leo Strauss and watch the documentary which you can get on Internet Archive.org. The Power of Nightmares from BBC. Our free press has chosen not to tell us about these things, but at least in England you can see this stuff.
Yeah.
They-
I don't know if it's on repeat, but yeah.
So it's a group of exclusively Jews who convinced a group of evangelical Christians who were formerly Democrats that they should vote for the first time in their lives, and they should vote Republican because they had been misused by the Democrats in the past because they were only interested in black civil rights. So come to our party and we'll do your social issues, which have never been a part of Republican politics in the past. The one thing that was really sweet about the Republicans in the past is that they could not debate with the Democrats because the Democrats would be all about social issues and would know nothing about politics or nothing about foreign policy or domestic policy. They just cared about abortion or they cared about black civil rights, which is important, but it isn't the they had nothing on which to meet. You see what I'm saying? They would ask the Republicans, what do you think about abortion? Should it be on demand? And the Republicans would like blanch and panic and say, no, I might have an opinion on that, but what I really want you to do is look into it yourself. See how sweet that is? They might have been against it, but they don't want to tell you. They want you to do it yourself. They want you to work government out of your life, smaller government, and government that tell you what to do. It's the closest thing to our original American system that we had, and now when Tucker Carlson interviews Ron Paul, he acts like he's a space alien. I've never heard such a thing. And this is the guy younger than me with a bow tie.
Well,
Was he Orville Redenbacher's son? Will you come with the bow tie? You know, I mean, to act like you've never heard of this before, that's how far gone our politics are. They've been subverted by one universal. We have Stalinism, which is the Alinsky method, rules for radicals, and we have Leo Strauss, who taught the Jews in his class, except for Fukuyama, the single Japanese guy. He taught them all Trotskyite communism. So which form of communism is it that you want? Do you want Trotskyite communism, or would you like Stalin communism? That's what we have now, the two choices. No wonder we have Obama.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean...
Very.
You know, okay. So, what I'm trying to say is, I'm not advocating the Byzantine system as you can look it up. No, I'm not looking for eunuchs or a royal family, even though they don't have any authority to tell you what to do at all.
Right.
It looks from outside, it looks like an autocracy, which it is not. It is the fundamental American system. They lived a modern existence. And there's so much we learn from this because this is the American system. It's not a democracy. See, do you know why they point out democracy? We pointed out the other reasons we talked about earlier. But the real reason is because they want to tell you that the only way there is in ancient Greece. And they only had a democracy. And if you want to move forward from democracy, you have to have a republic, which is Rome, which is fascism.
Right.
So we have idiots in this country who will tell you, well, you know, America's an experiment that failed. Those founding father Masons, we gotta stop that. And we got, okay, well, and so we don't want the New World Order, which is communism, so we want fascism.
Wait a minute. When did we get Alex Jones on the show?
I just can't take it. I have nothing in common with these people because I don't know anything about evangelical Christianity. Well, I've learned about it now, having studied the New World Order, because I've had to learn about the other people in this movement, what they're talking about. It's so foreign to me. I was raised in the Greek Orthodox Church, not country of Greeks. Okay, yeah, let's tidy up what happened after the Turks took over. They held us as slaves for 400 years. Meanwhile, the Catholics made every crazy lie up, which does not come out in history. And actually, they'll tell you they're lying. They'll tell you that they broke off until 1054. You nail them down, they will tell you the church did into their stuff. I went to St. Gertrude's here for a year. They told us after class. Okay. They held us as slaves for 400 years. And then Ataturk from Slavonic over to the Jewish hideout. That's so these ancient times, mainly in Greece, because they're progressed Macedonians. They're not. We're second wave Greeks, they're third wave Greeks. Okay. So Ataturk goes to Istanbul, in Constantinople, and he tells everybody he's the greatest Turk of all time. It's a lie.
That's why it's called Ataturk. That's where you get the phrase Ataturk. Yeah.
He's a Mason. He's gay on top of it. He tells them we have to do this, and that we must kill the Christian minority. And to show you how much influence now the Armenians have, when we told this story about what I'm going to tell next, we always included the Armenians because they were right among us. We never left them out. Now you hear about the Armenian genocide, but they can't mention us because if they mention us, word might slip out about Orthodox Christianity, which the Armenians are Orthodox Christian too, but they're not that big in the East. And well, word might slip out about Byzantium, and they can't let that happen. So anyway, they'll tell you about the Armenian genocide. If you see there's a movie, America, India Kazan made a movie. He's one of the famous directors. He made this movie called America. He talks about this in 1922 when Ataturk decided to kill Christian minorities in the country. He decided, so they killed 8 to 11 million in each one. 1860 there was a worldwide slavery, which freed the American blacks, and it freed us. We went to a second-class citizenship, and it freed the mainland of Greece, where we did not live before, to make this country of Greece, which is an abomination. They had a Habsburg. A 17-year-old Habsburg was installed as king of Greece. There's no king. The German king was
Right.
Habsburg.
A Habsburg king?
Yeah. So, and they've been brainwashed. They hate the Byzantines. They also hate us.
Sure.
And they train them away from stuff.
Fair
I
enough.
have a duty to help my father out. My father calls I have a duty.
Sure.
That's what I did. Okay, now, so we were free to a second-class citizenship. We have every. We have the same experiences in American life. We were enslaved for the same 400 years. In 1860, we were free to a second-class citizenship in Asia, where we fought the same battle for civil rights. And then in 1965, there gave the blacks a civil rights. In 1922, after Church, and we escaped to America, South America, Australia. And the Turks at least, see, Ataturk is not racist. The Turk was much bad manipulated the black people. But the Turks at least made the same to allow the patriarchal concept of nation from the beginning of the nation. So now the U.S. Army maintains the patriarchal concept. Jurisdiction has changed. They recently had him on 60 Minutes and they asked him, why are you in charge? Walk on the street. Why don't you listen to what they say? They wouldn't let him talk, so he didn't say, my jurisdiction is America. My jurisdiction is Australia and South America. That's the country of Greece. It's a state of religion. They wouldn't let him say that. They made him something. So we in America have the Greek Orthodox Church. It's nothing to do with
Right, he only showed up, took care of something if there was actually really a problem.
But he doesn't have enough. We've never heard him talk. Recently, he's been corrupted by Timothy Ware, who's who Oxford. He teaches the Rhodes Scholarship. I'm going to get into that story another time.
Ooh, yeah,
Because he's the Green Patriarch.
sure.
That's my own uncle corrupted. We were cool and didn't change the rules from 336 until my uncle, my father's brother, decided he wanted to be a 33rd degree Mason.
Right.
So anyway, I'm not advocating for a religion that's corrupt for you to join it. Don't join it. They don't even have missionaries. If you went to a Greek Orthodox church, they wouldn't know how. That's how far removed they are from having people join. They're not even no missionaries. They're not looking for membership. But I'm just talking about history lessons. I'm not talking about community. I'm just talking about at least we can repair these systems. We can get rid of the paganism out of the Catholic Church and other denominations. You don't have to merge together in one in Jerusalem under the Antichrist. You don't have to do that. We can fix these problems. There are sources to Christianity. There are sources to the American system that can be repaired.
Sure.
Okay. So anyway, when Ataturk kills 8 to 11 million of us, 5 million Armenians, as you can see in the movie American, we run over here, and so but to come over here and find out that I'm whitey is so galling. We have the same history as the American blacks, and yet I'm whitey. I'm the oppressor of the black people. How did that happen?
Well,
We were enslaved at the same time.
but
When they were enslaved, we were enslaved. Same 400 years. I sing 400. Did you know that the Rastafarians are Ethiopian Orthodox? I sing 400 years from Peter Tosh too. It means the same thing to me as it does to the blacks.
sure.
We have the same thing. Anyway, to come over here and then to find out that we don't exist. We're in every city in America. We can go to see one of the things that the patriarchal said, Uncle Nick, am I speaking a mile a minute?
No, you're fine. You're making total sense. Go ahead.
They have a Greek festival. Everything that happens outside the church building, they're trying to teach us the Byzantines to preserve it so that we'll at least learn how to do it and see in action. They don't have a lecture for us. In fact, recently, I was talking to a cousin, and she was telling me I'm nuts. She was talking about the Greek festival teaching the Byzantine system. So she started looking it up. She finds out Cambridge, they got a whole syllabus on this, and they never told us what the words were. We were in the lab part of the class. There was no lecture. And in Cambridge and all these high-end universities, they teach you the lecture and the lab. So they have no experience with this, but they learn it conceptually. We learned it in real life. The Greek festival and every activity that happens outside the church. To me, the church is happening in Greek. One language I don't speak. outside the church. We were always involved in organizations. So I learned the Byzantine system in action. And I said, this is very American. Why do we teach these things? But it never occurred to me to reason. And so I've recently seen the comparisons. Up until 1913 when they locked out of history.
Right.
You can go to like boatloads of Europe.
Well,
School won't teach you.
well, of course not. And
That's what that God is uncovering. He's not going to give you the entire context, but you kind of need the context of this. And when Bernard tells you this stuff, it's not a trendy movement that the government can just crush if there's historical precedence for it. This isn't a trendy movement. I understand that Winston Shroud is there because leadership. That other movements have done this and failed. They build the government for millions of dollars they can't collect. We're not doing that. We're doing it the way that we would have done in the 1800s if you just gone to high school. Everybody who went to high school in the 1800s would know about a notice of understanding and intent. But the basic things in arts, that's why that when we try these things, like I get a lot of calls from our new members. A lot of times they have users and these problems. And every time that I help them out, I've never seen it before. Of course, we're not going to
right.
we said that just the piece they get to.
Exactly. Well,
We go into court and we have our own court and notary fixes it.
sure.
But this has, I'm trying to say that this has a historical precedent to it. This is how America used to be. And the reason they didn't kill the system is they wanted to leave it open as a tool for themselves for being citizens and government officials. So that when they had a little private thing, had no access, they could just go different. But you are going to be tortured for the rest of your life. And your management and drunk driving classes and watched like a bug. It's a whole way to get you under control and keep on your own.
Right.
But for them, they just went right away because But I'm just saying that Menard's not pulling this out of his hat. And I'm angry because it's like we come over here and to find out that we don't exist and that America's been brainwashed. Like, my grandfather came to America and didn't go to Athens because not only when he got to Athens briefly, they couldn't speak the same Greek he spoke. He spoke the real Greek. They spoke this, I don't know. It's manipulated modern Greek. They couldn't understand him, so he thought, well, we're gonna move to where our culture is respected. But in 1922, it already was corrupted. 1913 was when they got the power, and notice what the first thing they did was the Great Depression.
Well, sure. The first
And
thing.
First World War.
And the First World War.
Yeah, it's
right.
not a coincidence. Yeah.
The first thing you have to do is create crises.
Yeah, they march
Pass brand new legislation. You've got to create crises to get people, or you have to create the crises before you implement the system. But for those of you who've actually studied American history, you realize that there was even a precursor crash to the Great Depression. I mean,
They made these banking crises to justify why we would have a Federal Reserve who would save us from these things.
right,
Meanwhile, they made it happen.
right, exactly. Well, but it was done solely for the purpose of creating an American populace that was looking for somebody to take care of.
They're always the saviors.
Sure.
And if you look at how they save us, they're killing
And just to cut back a little bit to something we were talking about at the top of the show about fame and
I want to live forever.
celebrity status will give credence to an issue, even if it doesn't have any credence to itself.
I want to turn into a fly.
At this latest Earth Day event in Washington, D.C. or whatever,
Maybe I'm
Sting
not
and
too
his
clever.
wife came out and made comments to the press about how it's a green Tea Party movement and that people want big government and that we need big government to save us because this whole carbon emissions is it's a huge world crisis and it's a big crisis and we need a big government to take care of it. And that's what people are going to listen to. That's what people are going to pay attention to because that's how they have totally taken away control and given credibility only to what people are indoctrinated to watch. I mean, yeah. Yep.
As a grown man, he calls himself Sting.
Yeah. Which is, what is that? The present participle of the verb form? Yeah. Well, it... Can you...
It's just as bad as another grown man calls himself King.
Yeah, well, there's something
yourself
amusing about going by one name. Well, sure.
It makes sense if Sting was a wasp. What Anglo-Saxon?
Well, he is, isn't he? He's white. He's Anglo-Saxon. He's Protestant, isn't he?
I'm not angry. It's just
I don't know if it's actually what a wasp though.
that I have to listen to. There are corrupt versions of this everywhere you go. There's Phil Valentine, just the black people that, well, the Roman Empire, the first Roman Pope was Constantine. And, they have this fictional religion of Constantine. They have a lot of propaganda. They will drop this as soon as they have a hint that you know what you're talking about. They all know the truth.
Well, it's like judges and lawyers.
They drop that in 2 seconds. They know that's propaganda. They know there's never still left.
Sure.
But I mean, I have to listen to Alex Jones scream that all empires in the past have been corrupt and failed. What? And they all died in 400 years. Longest running.
Well,
400 years.
I guess.
What about the Chinese Empire though? I mean,
Right. It's not just us.
yeah, the Chinese Empire's never failed, as far as I know.
And it covers this. Why was there a Renaissance? Catholics were happy to have everybody doused in black ink. They didn't do what anyone did.
Yeah.
Because the Turks had taken over in 1453. And so Greeks were running west. And the Catholics thought they could just hold this down. You got your Thomas Aquinas bleeding through Greek thought, but there was everybody else too.
Yeah, and Copernicus as well.
Right.
That screwed everything up for the traditionalists.
There was no Dark Ages in the Byzantine Empire, and so they weren't used to this kind of thing, and they had the Byzantine system, which is the foundation of Europe. So that they infected Europe with this, and they call it the Renaissance, and it's another way to validate that Germany was smart, or Italian was smart.
Sure.
They were just smart at acquiring other people's culture,
Right.
you know, and not burning it like the barbarians traditionally did.
Okay. So the three most influential things that are in your influence your everyday life. There's the Chinese, there's the Byzantine Empire, and there's Tesla. One guy. One guy.
One man.
We couldn't do what we're doing now without Tesla.
Well, I still maintain that that's an awful rock band from the 1970s and the 1980s.
Nikola Tesla, the Serbian Orthodox guy.
Yeah, but he wasn't he the guy who invented AC electricity or something? Yeah,
He wanted to make it wireless and free, but as you know,
it was Edison. Yeah,
bitterly jealous of this.
Yeah. DC. Yeah,
D-cell.
yeah,
And Westinghouse, who Tesla was such a compassionate guy, he lent him his patents and never came back.
yeah. Isn't that the origins of the name AC/DC though? Was to do with the conflict between Thomas Edison and Nikola Tesla, or Nikola Tesla? Yeah.
Edison was a tinkerer. Tesla's mother would not let him tinker at all. No experimentation. So he set up his aperture to visualize in his head. And when he got over to America and got to Edison's workbench, he put together his invention that he had never done in real life. Put
Yeah.
it together once, and it worked.
Yeah,
Edison
worked first time.
tinkered forever at, you know what I mean, unfinished projects and things that never worked, and tinkering to get anything to work. And Tesla walks up, puts it together from loose parts on the bench, and it works.
Happened every time as well. Every invention he did worked first time.
Right.
He spent forever putting it together in his head, and
They'll
then
tell you all these lies about Tesla that he got it from the Vatican Library. How do
Yeah.
he's Serbian Orthodox.
yeah,
A Catholic is anathema to him.
yeah.
He's gonna. They'll let Orthodox Christians loose from the Vatican Library.
Yeah, yeah. Well, he must have channeled it from somewhere, unless he's like some sort of super god or something.
His mother would not know anything.
Yeah, yeah,
He's up against an apple tree.
yeah, yeah.
But I just say that you have a corrupt history, and it's easy to fix this problem, and it's also easy to look it up. You'll find that it's not
Sure.
what I'm saying. I haven't given you a... I know it sounds like science fiction, but I haven't.
Well, but and just to reiterate that it isn't being opposed for those of you who haven't watched all of Menard's videos or read all of his stuff, he mentions that his own relative is a lawyer. Part of the Law Society is a prosecutor for the Canadian government, and he runs his ideas past her to find out if they're valid or not. And he will, if he's wrong, she will tell him. And if he's right, she refuses to answer. She says no comment. Because she can't tell him he's right, because that would be betraying part of the oath that they take.
She's an officer of the court. She
Right.
works for that. She would be betraying her client, which is the Canadian government.
Exactly, and because she has a code of ethics that only works in one direction, the people employing her, not to her fellow man, she cannot, in good faith, divulge any information, but she can also not contest it. I have asked, personally in my own experience, I have asked police officers and lawyers some of these questions, and they won't answer my questions. They're evasive. They're
David Ray asked
right, and actually, I believe he's with us. I know he'd like to jump in here at the last bit. Okay, go ahead and do that, because he's actually been working on a notice himself, and I want to address just a little bit.
You want to ask him these questions, put it on the record.
Right.
I've got one other thing to mention about Nikola Tesla. He had all his blueprints were burnt down as well in the lab, so there's no actual record of him being the original creator of it. I mean, there is a theory that there is a theory that he's sort of like a corporation or something. He was like a bunch of independent scientists, and they sort of like they all use the name Nikola Tesla. Sort of like William Shakespeare was a product of the Francis Bacon publishing company.
Right. They hired that criminal Zionist, Albert Einstein.
Yeah,
They gave him the Nobel Prize for a theory, and it's false.
yeah,
And then,
didn't even work.
his job for the government, he was the censor of Tesla.
Yeah,
They were terrified that you were going to be stringing up wires on magnets and electrifying them and coming up with anti-gravity in your...
well, so was Edison.
there,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, he was like the foreign downward influence, whatever. Yeah, the
Saint
foreign
Einstein,
inhibitor.
who, when people wanted to debate him, he would insist that they were anti-Semites.
Yeah, yeah.
He was a
So,
Khazarian
so that they set up. Yeah, that's it. They set up a Jew who wasn't even a Jew, just so you could claim that anybody disagreed with him was anti-Jew. They still get away totally blatant tactics, but yeah, it was pretty blatant.
It's still working in some degree.
Yeah,
But not when they argue with me. I'll pull that thing down now.
yeah.
I bought the Steinsaltz gum, and I have more of them now. I can go off the Amazon. I've been ordering little by little. I know where to look, too.
And they even used they even used sex as an excuse for Albert Einstein, because like he was married, he had a wife, you see, so that totally went against the old tradition of nerdy scientists living alone and all that. There's photos of him like Albert Einstein in bed, sort of thing, like he's some sort of sex icon. I don't know if you've seen the photos of him lying in bed with his wife. Yeah. Oh, it's a total joke, but it reminds me of John Lennon, like Yoko Ono as well. The whole sort of like status symbol. Look, I am so successful. I even like married and got a wife or mistress. Yeah, that's it. You see, much better than me. Everybody up and coming, you see, you'd be like, oh, you think you're smart, you think like Einstein, but where's your girlfriend? You know, you can't say they didn't think of that one coming. You know, they didn't, you know, like, it's so difficult for, like, people in the Masons and stuff to set up somebody with a wife to be sort of thing they do all the time. You know, and they will set up him and not set up other people because they don't want them to get anywhere. But Einstein had it easy, you know? It's like, oh yes, it's meant...
Nobody ever asked any question, and then the media portrays you an absolute genius.
That's it, yeah.
Must be nice.
So he did almost have like a sort of rock star image, like with the stupid hair and, you know, silly quotes and trying to look really brainy. Yeah, that's it. So busy thinking up amazing stuff that's for the benefit of mankind. Haven't we heard that one before? Richard Hawkins or whatever her name is.
Christopher John Bierkus, who was the original crusher for I like and I wrote to Bierkus a million times. I said, why would you write a book like that and deny our existence? You see why I finally spoke up. I mean, I was being driven nuts. I had to sit there and listen to my non-existence. And then I had to listen to idiots like ProThink tell us that we should have fascism as a solution to this problem. The difference between fascism and communism is this lie that we're going to...
Yeah, it's Stephen Hawkins, not Richard Hawkins, sorry.
Of course they're never going to run around this thing. But this thing can run around with stars in your eyes.
Well, you can
Fascism doesn't solve anything.
you cannot simultaneously prepare for peace and plan for war.
Yeah, do you want the Roman eagle or the German eagle?
Sure.
It's our own people.
Well, right, but it's, you know, you have to create the threat. Anyone who spends any time looking into this, I mean, you can find this at surface level. This doesn't require, you know, spending hours and hours poring over obscure legal tomes or, you know, ancient manuscripts in dusty libraries someplace at the bottom of the cellar of some major university. I mean, you can go to your local bookstore and find a book that will have all the evidence of this information right there in front of you. This doesn't require... Sure.
Have you seen the movie Battlefield Earth? Because there's a scene in that takes the piss out of that pretty much.
That's the one based on the father of Scientology, right?
Yeah, that's it. Ron Hubbard.
Ron Hubbard.
Yeah. John Travolta's in it.
Well, I saw the movie. I also actually read that entire series of books, all like 17 of them or whatever.
Yeah, the Mission Earth series. Battlefield Earth was sort of like... the scene I'm thinking of, there's also a scene of it in Zardoz, and the Zyklons, whatever, the Cyclones, the bad guys, whatever, who come over to Earth in order to mine our ores, you know, our gold.
Right.
They give central character, I can't remember his name, probably Jack or something, like based on Johnny Rebel sort of character. They give him access to like all the world's libraries, all the best of the remaining books in the world, and he's just left there for 3 days, and he's like, well, how was it for you? Totally useless, huh? And he's like, yep. Pretty much. Yeah, so I said, you know, it was just totally useless to his situation.
Sure.
In the movie, that's like, they treat that as like being like one of the few instances that he's actually being honest. The Zyklons are always supposed to be deceptive and stuff, got their own agenda, but, you know, he went through all these dusty tomes, and they were all dusty, and the dusty statues are all falling to pieces, and he just found absolutely nothing useful in them whatsoever. Nothing that he could actually use in any sort of struggle against them.
I sort of came down on Dale Bradford Smith. You know, after all these years, Dale Bradford Smith actually listened to what I was saying and acknowledged the genocide that his teammates had occurred.
Did he?
I marked the
We having David Ray on in a second.
Oh, okay. 2010, January 18th, D.R. Bradford Smith finally acknowledged the Greek genocide. And the existence of the Byzantine Empire after all this time. I mean, I'd had to listen to Armenian genocide, and then we don't exist. I'm banging my head. I'm pulling out my hair, and I've got welts in my forehead from banging my head to death.
Well, at least you've finally been vindicated.
I'm forbidden from looking at that Einstein picture. I've got 403 on it.
Yeah, I'm forbidden from looking at that Einstein picture too.
Yeah, it's probably naked or something.
David Ray is not online, or I can't reach him.
Well, I think he just hopped off. So unfortunately, we won't get into that. But I wanted to get back to you made a comment there towards the end of your breakdown of the Byzantine system that in the 18th century they would have known all about notices of understanding and intent. That's the real system. My question for you is: do you think that they actually? I mean, 1913 was certainly the breakdown of the financial system, but is that coincide? Okay. Well. Right. Okay. I don't think that's going to wind up passing.
Oh, and so anyway, here I am. I'm the president of America in the World Health Society. Am I here to tell you what to do? Am I an amazing hypocrite? No. The goal of taking any responsibility in this system, the American system, is to demonstrate that these things can be done right. Imagine that I would give you this speech and immediately abuse my authority. That is not why you seek any kind of a position. It is now. From the minute you got to become Janet Reno and hold those churches, and you're dying to get into power so you can corrupt everything and screw everything. No. About America, it's the same as that if I see you being oppressed and I don't go help you, my freedom is being diminished.
Well, and that's even happened recently. Maybe in New.
I want to be free myself, but freedom and responsibility is how the system works. But I also get a happiness, a fulfillment from helping others. You know how wonderful. Evan Spencer figured out all these things in New York. He figured out the just system. We were both jumping up and down. I said, "Are you jumping up and down like me?" We were screaming on the sky. We were so happy we were to solve his problem and all the favors. They don't understand the mechanisms of life. And I don't want to do that. I'm not interested in glory. I'm looking for people to states and show movies out there. I'm going to use that. I have all the things what about my and I don't tell you about the Greek genocide because I'm saying I'm a victim like the horrible Jewish bullshit. I'm talking about we've got to beat them this time. I've seen what this can do. You know what I mean? Because we made it over here and survived. We're going to freaking beat them. You know what I mean? We're not going to lay down and die. We want to get you.
Nope.
I am this enthusiastic about it.
I think it's the best thing about the whole society in and of itself is that you have that absolute pure reclamation of real freedom. And once you realize that that's the case, how can you not be anything but incredibly excited? And because you have absolute real freedom all of a sudden, you can just so easily give it away because it's that easy. It's not anything that... it's not about gaining power. It's not about gaining prestige. It's not about being famous. Exactly. It's about accepting responsibility. It's accepting personal responsibility and responsibility for the people around you.
I mean, I'm dying to delegate here. I can't do it all myself. I'm trying to build local leaders and stuff like that. Let me hand you this responsibility. And I'm also responsible. See what I mean? It's layers of responsibility. You hear me at the end of the show. I say, I'm your responsible party, and I take this off the air. If there's a problem, blame me. You know what I mean? You're progressively less responsible. See what I mean?
Right.
The pyramid is upside down. The pin. Like when we stopped by Istanbul, they're on a vacation. We stopped by. We didn't tell him we were coming. We stopped by. He said, "Oh, drop by the patriarchy and see." You know, you can't do that. You see Ratzinger?
Yeah.
They won't, even if he's not nothing to do that, he's not going to see because they believe that he's not in charge. Okay, so we stopped by. Not only did I mean, you don't. Christianity is kind of sweet if it isn't very.
Well, it's sweet if it's actually real Christianity, Judeo-Christian.
Far from telling me what to do, it's sweet. You have a chance to respect these people without immediately rejecting them because they just say, "You got to do this."
Sure. Not surrounded by his Vatican guards and his cardinals and his bishops and his sub-priests and the page boys and all the other elements of the homosexual Vatican culture that exists. Yeah. Right. He's happy to have you stop by because otherwise he's just gonna, do what he does every day. Right. I got visitors. Sit down. You guys hungry? I'll make some food. Sure.
David wants to get on back on again. He says, "Hi, should we try again?"
You can try, but I don't know as to what you'll get him. Good luck. Fine. Which just goes to show you that as soon as you understand the system, as soon as you understand how it's happening and how it's working, and you take your time to do your investigation, that this is going to work. Right. Yep. Nope. If you want to be an active member, we're definitely always looking for people to help out. There are so many projects you can be involved in. Your talents are always needed.
We're going to make everyone a peace officer who wants to be a peace officer so that you can trump the duty of the policy enforcement officer. That is one great method around this police brutality.
Which, with Menards finally becoming a peace officer,
The other day.
one step closer. It just gets better and better. For those of you...
But that's all it is. The information is free, and I'm thrilled to help you out. You know what I mean? And we're desperate to have people. We have a lot of members. We have a lot of people who stepped up, local leaders. Come on in. got to tell people what to do either.
You're just there to help facilitate operation.
The pin is at the bottom of the pyramid. It is a pyramid. It's just the opposite.
Yep. Make sure you've got strong arms, because
It's fun, and you don't get
and it is fun. It absolutely is fun. It's one of the main reasons why we're doing the show, and we hope you're out there listening. If you want more information, if you've been excited by this show today, if you want to learn more and find out how you can... Exactly. You can go to our website. That's worldfreemansociety.org. If you don't want to jump quite in there yet and are wondering what the information is available out there that we haven't gotten to yet, go to Google Videos and put in Robert Arthur Menard. Anything you find with his name attached to it is going to be worth the time to watch. It's Bursting Bubbles of Government Deception is probably the best place to start, but
most of our activities on the free forum, which is, well, I mean, even where it's free, and we have a thing where you can work your way to full membership without paying. Show people, I'll send the videos to you. You find a church, you find something, bring people there, show the videos, and you show an once you're going to show an anti-NWO that confirms, please stay tuned, and then
Right.
show them an
although, like we were mentioning earlier, the latest Jason Berman film, Invisible Empire, is actually an excellent introduction to the New World Order, especially for people who have little to no experience with understanding it.
I mean, you can get around the pay element of the passport and the ID. But anyway, we're trying to get the see, the American movement is behind some of the other. It was more readily successful in the Commonwealth. There were people in Canada really enthusiastic about this. So it's factually correct here, and it works every single time we've done it. And we just don't have a big American following yet, but we're working on it.
Right. That we are, and we definitely want you to...
Sounds like we're doing a pledge drive.
right. Call in now, and etc. You can always reach Evstratios at Keep Truth Free on Skype. You can reach me at Clark Lake Perry's on Skype. Either one of the two of us will do everything we can to help you out.
This show's available on a podcast. We post up at Talk Show. Look for American Freeman Radio Show.
You can also find torrents of it on a variety of different sites, and we encourage you to download it, share it with people, share this information, get it out there, make sure that people know that this is real and they have a remedy. So many people out there sit around and yell and scream and whine and bitch and complain about how awful this system is and how terrible the New World Order is, but none of them are offering you any kind of actual redress. None of them.
Other people have given this a bad name, but that's because they didn't do it right.
Right.
It's actually much simpler than it's been presented by other people.
Yeah.
This has been tried. This has been tested. This has been proven.
Nobody's running into courts being infringed on the flag.
Right.
Some of these systems are so complicated that if you haven't crossed your T the right way, it's the end of the program.
Nope.
Remember this on your feet.
It doesn't have to be that complicated. It's very simple. Notices of understanding and intent, notary public, justice of the peace. That's all you need. All that information is available to you for free. We're about a minute out here. I really don't have anything else to add to this at this point.
Well, besides the fact that I've been screaming at you, I am your responsible party and striving to pass the top ratings. I've been joined here by Don, Gary, and Maggot.
Right. Yeah, I've been quiet for the last few minutes, but never mind. Just been letting you see the ramble on.
Well, I think it was an important topic, and I think it was an important thing for us to get into and discuss today, and let Estradios have the floor.
Certainly.
So. Nope, but worldfreemansociety.org, thinkfree.ca. You can listen to us every Monday through Friday, 1 to 4.
And listen the rest of the time. I put on other stuff. I've been playing William Cooper and other interesting stuff. Alright, let's pull us off here.
Alright, bye.
I did it.
Bye.
Let's hope we got recorded in one system.
Huh.
Like blowing it. I've been sitting there cobbling together 800
Yeah.
But I got, you know, that the sound. It beats, like, you know,